Throughout history, the Stoics have been revered for their wisdom, emotional control, and mastery of human psychology. They weren't just philosophers in the abstract sense, they were students of life, deeply observant of human behavior, including that of women. By understanding the inner workings of female psychology and applying the principles of Stoicism, men can navigate relationships, desire, and intimacy with far greater success. In this 3-hour guide, we're going to delve into topics that address key dynamics between men and women, dynamics that 99% of men overlook. Whether it's in the bedroom, in moments of emotional distance, or when navigating subtle signals of attraction, the Stoics have provided us with timeless insights that can help men understand what women really want, but rarely say. We'll cover how to avoid the huge mistakes men make when she pulls away, why certain behaviors make her think about you constantly, and how ignoring her at the right moments can make her care more than ever. We'll explore the subtle signs a woman gives when she's waiting for you to make a move, how mastering the art of restraint can make her miss you, and even how recognizing certain weaknesses in female psychology can give you a massive advantage in your relationships. So, stay with me till the end, because we're diving deep into the psychology behind what women crave in the bedroom, what attracts them emotionally, and what keeps them hooked long-term. If you're ready to master these dynamics, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment with your own experiences or questions. You won't want to miss what we're about to uncover. Let's get started. For centuries, the Stoics mastered not just the art of endurance and self-discipline, but also an understanding of human nature, including the often mysterious psychology of women. They knew that a sharp, perceptive mind can read subtle signs that others may overlook. Women, in particular, have an intricate way of communicating interest without speaking outright. If you've ever wondered whether she's waiting for you to make the first move, there's good news, she might be giving off more signals than you realize. These signals are small, almost imperceptible, unless you know exactly what to look for. Stay tuned because, in this video, I'm going to break down 7 key signs that women exhibit when they're waiting for you to take action. Watch till the end to ensure you don't miss the subtle cues she might be sending your way. And before we dive in, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you've ever experienced these signs or have a story to share. Let's jump in. Chapter 1. Her feet are pointed at you. It might sound trivial at first, but trust me, the direction of her feet can reveal more than you think. While we often look for signs in facial expressions or the way she's sitting, there's a whole language happening beneath the surface. This is one of the most primal, subconscious signals she can give. So why the feet? The answer lies in their authenticity. Unlike hands or facial expressions, which people can control or mask with ease, feet are often overlooked and, thus, act as an honest body part. This means they tend to reveal how someone truly feels. When you see her feet pointed at you, whether she's sitting or standing, this is her body's way of sending you a clear message: you have my attention. The Stoics, those masters of human observation, would have taken note of this silent cue. They understood that much of our human interactions are governed by the unspoken, by what we communicate without ever uttering a word. To the Stoics, understanding these body language signs was key to navigating human relationships with grace and wisdom. A Stoic might say, what one does not say, they still communicate, and that includes the direction in which their feet are pointed. Feet, because of their subconscious nature, tend to betray what we're truly feeling. When someone is engaged and interested, their entire body subtly shifts in your direction. It's as though their feet are leading them toward you, even if they haven't yet realized it. Think about the implications here. She may be maintaining her composure, engaging in casual conversation, even laughing at something trivial. But if her feet are directed toward you, she's not just being polite. Her body is showing you where her real interest lies. It's a primal form of communication that cuts through all the noise. Her feet are literally pointing her toward the object of her attention, you. This isn't just something to notice when you're alone with her. It becomes even more revealing in a group setting. If she's surrounded by friends, in the middle of a lively conversation, and yet her feet are still pointed at you, that's a strong indicator that, amidst the chaos, you're the one who has captivated her interest. The feet are, in a way, like a compass pointing toward what she truly desires, even when her words or actions might not make it obvious. Let's take it a step further. Imagine you're at a social event. She's talking to her friends, smiling and laughing, but her feet are angled toward you, the one across the room. Her body is betraying her, showing that her attention is on you despite the distractions. This is the kind of thing that a Stoic observer, sharp and perceptive, would have noticed immediately. They understood the importance of watching not just what people say, but what they do unconsciously. And if her feet point toward you, she's giving you a signal that most people would miss entirely. But here's where things get even more intriguing. What happens if her feet are pointed away? What if, even though she's laughing and smiling with you, her feet are angled toward the door or toward someone else? Well, my friend, this is a sign you can't afford to ignore. If her feet are pointing away from you, toward the exit or another person, she might be signaling that she's not as engaged as her facial expressions or words suggest. It's her subconscious mind making an exit strategy, even if the rest of her is trying to maintain appearances. She's communicating her disinterest without saying a single word. You see, the beauty of this signal is in its subtlety. It's not something obvious like a lingering touch or a direct flirtatious remark. Instead, it's a small, subconscious behavior that most people would never even think to look for. But once you start noticing it, you'll realize just how often it occurs and how telling it can be. If you're ever unsure about where you stand with her, don't focus on her words or even her facial expressions. Take a quick glance at her feet. Are they directed at you, or are they pointing away? If they're angled toward you, it's her body's way of pulling you into her space, her world. She may be waiting for you to pick up on this sign and make your move. And let's not forget the inverse. If her feet are turned away, especially when paired with other distancing behaviors, it's a clear indication that her interest may not be as strong as you hoped. This is not a guarantee of disinterest, but it's a cue to proceed with caution. Remember, just as the Stoics would say, everything has a reason, and that includes body language. If she's open to you, her feet will show it. If not, they'll point the way out. So, the next time you're with her and trying to gauge her feelings, don't just rely on what she's saying or how she's smiling. Take a second to check her feet. If they're aimed in your direction, it's a sign she feels drawn to you. But if they're angled toward the door or another person, you might want to rethink your strategy. It's the smallest details, like this one, that often reveal the most. The Stoics knew that to read human nature correctly, you must learn to observe what is not being said, and this is exactly what watching her feet can teach you. Chapter 2, she mentions she has free time. Now, this one may seem innocent at first glance, but it's a classic and often overlooked invitation. When a woman casually mentions that she has some free time, she's not just stating a fact. She's opening a door for you to step through. This isn't something she tells everyone, nor is it a random throwaway line. When she tells you she's free, it's a sign she's waiting for you to suggest doing something together. In ancient Stoicism, the concept of kairos, the right or opportune moment, was essential. The Stoics believed in observing the present carefully, acting with precision when the right moment appeared. Women often communicate their interest in subtle, indirect ways, and mentioning that they're free is one of those moments. The Stoic observer would recognize this as an opportunity, a signal to act wisely and confidently. When she says something like, "I don't have any plans this weekend," or "I'll be free after work," she's handing you a golden opportunity on a silver platter. She's essentially creating an opening for you to make a move. It's a delicate balance. She doesn't want to be too forward, but she also wants to give you a clear enough hint that you know it's safe to ask her out. In many ways, this is her version of saying, "I'm available, now it's your turn to do something about it." But here's the key: timing is everything. If she mentions her free time and you let it slip by without taking action, it's not just a missed opportunity, it's a signal to her that you're not interested or confident enough to take the lead. She's testing the waters, gauging whether you'll pick up on her cue. If you don't, she may start to lose interest, thinking you're either uninterested or too indecisive. Remember, Stoicism teaches us to act decisively when the moment arises. This is one of those moments. And it's not just about the words she uses, it's also about how she says them. Pay attention to her tone. If she's casually mentioning her free time, almost as if she's waiting for you to jump in and say, "Let's do something," then that's your green light. If you don't take the bait, she might move on to someone who will. Women rarely hand out such obvious signals, so when she does, you need to be ready to act. But here's where things get tricky. Not every mention of free time is an invitation. It's crucial to read the context. If she's talking about how busy she is with work and suddenly says, "I have some free time coming up," but it's framed in a way that feels more like a complaint about her schedule than an invitation, she might just be venting. In this case, your best move is to listen and empathize rather than jump in with a date suggestion. However, when her free time mention feels more casual and open-ended, she's likely testing your ability to seize the moment. For example, she might say, "I don't have any plans this weekend," while looking at you expectantly or waiting for your response. This is where the Stoic wisdom of discernment comes in. You need to understand when to act and when to hold back, and the tone and context of her words will guide you. If her mention of free time seems like a gift, don't leave it unopened. Here's a little secret: the more you delay in recognizing this signal, the less interested she'll become. Women who like you won't always put themselves out there, and if they do, they'll only do it for so long. Once she starts feeling that her subtle invitations aren't being picked up, she may start pulling back emotionally. No one likes feeling ignored, especially when they've given you a clear signal that they're available. So, when she mentions that she has some free time, consider it a subtle yet significant nudge in your direction. It's her way of saying, "I'm waiting for you to make the next move." The ball is in your court. In the same way that a Stoic philosopher would recognize a fleeting opportunity to act with wisdom and virtue, you must recognize her mention of free time as the perfect moment to take action. Don't hesitate. Act confidently and make plans with her. If you don't, someone else will. Chapter 3, she drops hints about what she enjoys doing. One of the more clever ways women signal their interest is by dropping hints about their hobbies and favorite activities. When she starts talking about what she enjoys doing in her free time, she's not just making conversation, she's giving you valuable information on how to win her over. This isn't just small talk, it's an opportunity for you to learn what makes her tick and, more importantly, how you can align yourself with her interests. The Stoics believed in paying close attention to the details, understanding that in the small things, we often find the greatest truths. In the same way, a woman might not come out and say, "I want to spend time with you." Instead, she'll tell you about the things she loves doing. This is a breadcrumb trail, a series of clues leading you toward making a connection. If you can pick up on these hints, you'll have a roadmap to her heart. For example, she might say, "I love hiking, but I haven't gone in a while," or "There's this great coffee shop I've been wanting to check out." On the surface, these might seem like casual comments. But in reality, she's giving you the keys to create an experience she'll enjoy, one that involves you. If you're paying attention, you'll realize that she's not just making random conversation. She's offering you a chance to invite her out to do something she loves. Stoic wisdom teaches us that life is about action. It's not enough to simply hear what she's saying, you must act on it. If she mentions that she loves hiking, your next move should be obvious, suggest a hiking trip. If she talks about a particular restaurant or activity she enjoys, propose that you go together. This shows her that you're not only listening, but also taking initiative, two traits that will instantly set you apart from other guys who might just nod along without ever taking action. But here's the thing, dropping hints isn't just about what she loves to do, it's also about what she's inviting you into. When a woman talks about her hobbies and interests, she's testing whether or not you'll be a part of her world. She's giving you an opening to join her in something she enjoys, creating a shared experience that can bring you closer together. Ignoring these hints can make her feel like you're not interested in connecting on a deeper level. The Stoic observer would never let such a moment pass by. And, of course, timing matters. You don't want to jump in too eagerly or force an invitation. But when she drops a hint about something she enjoys doing, and it feels like the right moment, seize the opportunity. If you delay or seem disinterested, she may feel like her effort to engage with you isn't reciprocated. And as we know, once a woman feels like she's being ignored or her hints are going unnoticed, she'll start to lose interest. So, what should you do? Pay attention. When she talks about her hobbies, she's giving you the chance to bond over shared experiences. Don't let those moments slip by. Whether it's hiking, cooking, or visiting a favorite spot in town, take the opportunity to suggest doing it together. It's these shared moments that create deeper connections and signal to her that you're ready to make a move. Chapter 4. She fixes her clothes or jewelry around you. Have you ever noticed her subtly adjusting her clothes, brushing off invisible dust, or fidgeting with her jewelry when she's around you? If so, she might be sending you a signal that she's attracted to you. When a woman fixes her appearance in your presence, it's usually because she wants to look her best for you. This is an instinctive, almost subconscious action that speaks volumes about her feelings. In Stoic philosophy, much emphasis is placed on the subtle signs of human behavior, on observing the actions that others might miss. Fixing her clothes or jewelry is one of those small yet significant gestures that reveal her true intentions. It's not just about making sure she looks good, it's about making sure you notice that she looks good. It's a display of self-awareness and a desire for your attention. Let's break this down. When she adjusts her necklace, smooths out her shirt, or fixes her hair, she's not doing it for just anyone. She's doing it because she knows you're watching. This behavior often occurs when she's feeling a little nervous, excited, or both, common emotions when someone is attracted to you. It's her way of saying, "I want to look perfect for you," without actually saying it. This is one of those subtle signs that's easy to miss if you're not paying attention. A Stoic would never let such a detail escape their notice. They would understand that in the smallest actions, there's often the greatest meaning. So, the next time you see her fiddling with her bracelet or straightening her dress, don't just brush it off as meaningless. Recognize it for what it is, a sign that she's trying to impress you. But it's not just about vanity or appearance. Fixing her clothes or jewelry can also be a sign of nervousness or excitement around you. When a woman likes you, she often becomes more self-conscious. She wants to make sure she looks good because she's aware that your eyes are on her. This heightened awareness can lead to those small adjustments, those subtle movements that signal she's thinking about how she looks in your presence. And it doesn't stop at clothes or jewelry. If she's fixing her hair, adjusting her posture, or even reapplying lip balm when she's near you, she's making sure she's presenting herself in the best possible way. These little actions speak volumes about her attraction and her desire for you to notice her. It's her way of saying, "I care about how I look because I care about what you think of me." Remember, women often express themselves in ways that are far more subtle than men. While you might be waiting for a grand gesture or an obvious flirtation, she's likely communicating through these small, almost imperceptible signs. Don't miss them. When she adjusts her clothes, her jewelry, or her appearance around you, she's telling you she's interested. It's a silent invitation for you to make a move. Chapter 5. She finds a way to touch you. Touch is one of the most powerful ways humans communicate, especially when it comes to attraction. When a woman is attracted to you, she will often find subtle ways to touch you. This could be as simple as brushing her hand against yours, playfully tapping your arm, or giving you a friendly hug that lingers just a little longer than usual. These small touches are her way of closing the physical gap between you two, signaling that she's comfortable and interested. The Stoics knew that touch carried deep meaning. In fact, physical proximity and the willingness to touch someone were seen as significant indicators of human connection. Stoic philosophy teaches us to be mindful of not just what people say, but what they do, especially when it comes to the subtleties of physical interaction. A woman who touches you, even lightly, is breaking the invisible barrier of personal space. This is no small thing. When she finds ways to touch you, she's communicating on a level that goes beyond words. She's testing the waters, seeing how you'll react to her touch. Will you reciprocate? Will you pull away? How you respond to these subtle touches will often determine the next step in your interaction. A Stoic would understand that these touches are invitations, and they would approach them with awareness and intention. For example, she might casually place her hand on your arm when she's laughing or tap your shoulder to get your attention. These aren't accidental touches, they're deliberate actions meant to create a connection. She's waiting to see if you'll pick up on her signals and reciprocate, perhaps by gently touching her back in a playful or affectionate way. But it's not just about physical contact. It's about the type of touch. If she's playfully touching you or finding excuses to be physically close, she's signaling that she's comfortable and open to more intimacy. Touch is her way of closing the emotional and physical distance between you, and it's a powerful sign that she wants you to take things further. Now, this is where your Stoic discernment comes into play. Not all touch is created equal, and you need to be mindful of the context. If she's touching you in a friendly, casual way, it might just be her personality. But if those touches start to linger, if she finds more excuses to touch you as the conversation progresses, that's a sign of growing attraction. The Stoics taught that in every action, there's intention. When a woman touches you, there's almost always a reason behind it. It's up to you to interpret it correctly. If you miss these subtle cues, you risk missing out on an opportunity to deepen your connection. So the next time she brushes your arm or taps your shoulder, take it as a sign. She's not just being friendly, she's waiting for you to make a move. Chapter 6. She finds a way to talk with you. Conversation is the foundation of any relationship, but when a woman is interested in you, the way she engages in conversation can tell you a lot. If she consistently finds ways to talk to you, even about the most trivial things, it's not an accident. She's creating opportunities to connect, hoping you'll pick up on the cue and engage with her more deeply. In Stoic philosophy, communication, whether verbal or non-verbal, was a key tool for understanding and building relationships. A Stoic would observe not just what is being said, but the intention behind it. When a woman is drawn to you, she doesn't just make conversation for the sake of it. Each interaction is a subtle dance, a way for her to gauge your interest and draw you closer. It might start with simple questions, like "How's your day going?" or "What did you do this weekend?" These are not just generic inquiries, they're openings for you to build rapport and deepen the connection. The Stoics were keen observers of human behavior, and they would recognize this as a moment to engage thoughtfully and intentionally. Pay attention to how often she initiates these conversations. If she goes out of her way to talk to you, even about small things, it's a strong sign she wants to keep the connection alive. Women often use conversation as a way to gauge whether the other person is interested, so if she's continually finding reasons to talk to you, she's offering you a bridge toward deeper interaction. It's her way of saying, "I want to get to know you better." And it's not just about frequency. Listen to the content of the conversation. She may ask you questions about yourself, subtly trying to learn more about your life, your interests, and your values. This is her way of exploring compatibility, of seeing if there's a deeper connection beyond just physical attraction. Stoics believed that true connection was built on shared values and mutual understanding, and this is exactly what she's looking for through conversation. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Watch how she responds when you talk. Does she lean in when you're speaking? Does she seem genuinely interested in what you're saying, asking follow-up questions and keeping the conversation flowing? This level of engagement is a clear indicator that she's invested in the interaction. She's not just making small talk, she's actively trying to create a bond. Even in group settings, if you notice that she finds a way to engage you in conversation, it's a sign that she's drawn to you. She might be talking to several people, but she'll find a way to direct her comments or questions toward you. The Stoic observer would note this as a significant cue. It's her way of creating intimacy in a social situation, subtly carving out moments where it's just the two of you, even if others are around. On the flip side, if you notice that she only speaks when spoken to or doesn't make an effort to continue the conversation, it could mean that her interest isn't as strong. Women who are attracted to you will almost always find a way to keep the dialogue going. So if the conversation keeps flowing, with her driving much of it, take it as a sign that she's waiting for you to engage more deeply. Here's another subtle indicator. If she brings up topics that are meaningful to her or shares personal stories, she's inviting you into her world. This isn't something she'll do with just anyone. By opening up about her life, her experiences, or even her dreams, she's testing whether you're someone who can connect with her on a deeper level. Stoicism teaches us to look beyond the surface, to recognize the intention behind actions, and when she's opening up like this, she's offering you a chance to connect on a much more intimate level. So, what's the takeaway here? If she's consistently finding ways to talk with you, it's not just because she's bored or being polite. It's her way of creating moments of connection, of giving you an opportunity to make a move. Whether it's small talk about the weather or a deeper conversation about her passions, she's opening the door. Your role is to walk through it. Chapter 7. She plays with her jewelry. This is one of the most classic, subtle signs that a woman is attracted to you. When she's fiddling with her necklace, bracelet, or earrings while talking to you, it's more than just a nervous habit, it's a subconscious signal of her interest. Much like how a Stoic would observe the small details in life to find meaning, you need to pay attention to these seemingly insignificant gestures because they reveal a lot more than you might think. Let's break it down. When a woman plays with her jewelry, it's often a sign of nervous energy. But why is she nervous? The answer is simple, because she's attracted to you. Nervousness in this context is a positive thing. It shows that she's a little bit on edge, that she's thinking about how you perceive her. The Stoics believed that every action is rooted in intention, and this act of playing with her jewelry is her body's way of signaling attraction. You often see her lightly tugging on a necklace, spinning a ring, or twirling a bracelet. These movements are instinctual. She's not even fully aware she's doing it, but it's a clear sign that her attention is on you and that she's feeling a little flustered in your presence. This subtle fidgeting is her body's way of processing the attraction she feels toward you, a form of self-soothing that also draws your attention to her. The Stoic observer would recognize this behavior as a form of communication. They would understand that while she's not saying anything overtly flirtatious, her body is speaking for her. Playing with jewelry is a way to draw attention to her, especially to her neck, wrists, and hands, areas that can be particularly alluring. This is an invitation for you to notice her in a more intimate, romantic way. Think about it. She could be sitting there, perfectly composed, but when she starts fidgeting with her necklace or ring, it's a clear shift in behavior. It's a sign that she's feeling a heightened sense of awareness around you. And it's not just any type of awareness, it's the kind that comes from being attracted to someone. She might not be consciously trying to flirt, but her body is showing you that she's feeling something. Another key aspect to watch for is how she plays with her jewelry. Is it a casual touch, or does she seem to be doing it more when she's talking to you specifically? If you notice that her hands start moving toward her necklace or earrings when the conversation gets more personal, that's a huge clue that she's feeling something deeper. It's a signal that she's interested in you, and this subtle movement is her way of expressing that attraction without having to say it out loud. Now, here's where your Stoic insight comes into play. You need to be discerning. Is she doing this just as a nervous habit, or is it something that only happens around you? Context is everything. If you notice that she's always calm and composed around other people, but starts playing with her jewelry when she's near you, that's a powerful sign of attraction. A Stoic would understand that these actions are not random, they have meaning. And that meaning, in this case, is that she's drawn to you. But here's the most important part, don't ignore it. When a woman is playing with her jewelry in your presence, it's a subtle invitation for you to take things further. She's signaling that she's interested, and it's up to you to respond. If you brush it off as meaningless, you risk missing an opportunity to connect with her on a deeper level. Women are often more subtle in their expressions of attraction than men, which is why signs like this are so crucial to understand. When she's fiddling with her necklace or twisting her bracelet, it's not just a random action. It's her body's way of showing that she's intrigued by you, that you're on her mind, and that she's waiting for you to make the next move. The Stoics believed in acting when the time was right, seizing the moment when it presents itself. This is your moment. If she's playing with her jewelry while talking to you, she's giving you a clear sign that she's interested. Now it's up to you to make your move and see where this connection can lead. Understanding these subtle signals is key to knowing when a woman is waiting for you to make a move. The Stoics, with their mastery of human observation, would have recognized these cues as golden opportunities. From the way she points her feet to how she finds excuses to talk to you, every sign is a small invitation. So next time, don't let these moments slip by. Watch closely, and when you see these signs, act decisively. After all, in both life and love, the Stoics believed in seizing the right moment. And before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own stories in the comments. We want to hear about your experiences and what subtle signs you've noticed. The Stoics, throughout their long lives, mastered not only the art of resilience and self-discipline, but also the complex nature of human psychology. They understood that influence over others, particularly in intimate relationships, is often subtle, built on awareness and the ability to read and respond to the unspoken desires of another. This understanding of human nature, especially female psychology, can be traced back to their emphasis on observation and control. In today's episode, we're diving into what only 1% of men truly understand, women's most sensitive areas, and how to touch, tease, and awaken these hidden weaknesses. Knowing these secrets isn't about manipulation, but about creating deeper connections by understanding what most men overlook. These insights will give you an edge that can completely shift how a woman reacts to your touch, voice, and presence. Make sure to watch until the end, as these crucial weaknesses are powerful when approached the right way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share your stories if you've experienced these insights firsthand. Chapter 1: The Power of the Lips. The lips are one of the most obvious yet underestimated weaknesses that women possess. A woman's lips are not just a visual focal point, but they are also incredibly sensitive to touch, pressure, and even temperature. This area holds a direct connection to sensuality, and knowing how to engage with her lips can immediately heighten her desire for more. However, the key to unlocking this weakness isn't just in kissing, it's in the subtle art of teasing and building anticipation. The Stoics taught that patience is a virtue, and here, patience is your greatest ally. Rather than rushing in for a kiss, start by using the power of suggestion. Lightly brushing your fingers across her lips, letting your thumb graze them gently, or simply pulling back right before leaning in too close are actions that set off a chain reaction of arousal. Each move should be deliberate, leaving her anticipating your next step without ever fully committing to it. By delaying gratification, you create a hunger within her, an uncontrollable urge to close the gap between you. One of the most effective techniques is using proximity to play with her senses. Speak to her softly, close enough that she feels the warmth of your breath on her lips, but resist touching them just yet. This subtle act builds immense desire, making her focus entirely on the anticipation of what's coming next. When you finally do make contact, even a light touch of your lips on hers will send electric pulses through her body, heightening the experience. The build-up you've created will make every touch, every breath shared between you, 10 times more powerful. For those who understand female psychology, this is a crucial insight. Women crave the build-up, the suspense, and the slow unraveling of tension. A man who can play this game with mastery not only stimulates her physically but also creates a deep emotional connection. It's not about being forceful but about being aware, reading her body language, and adjusting your approach to her responses. Let her feel the weight of your intention without overwhelming her. The Stoics understood that mastery over desire, both your own and others, was key to unlocking deeper connections. Here, that mastery comes into play. As you engage her lips with care, you're building a bridge between emotional and physical intimacy. Each kiss should feel deliberate and thoughtful, communicating more than just lust, but an understanding of her body and desires. Women, whether consciously or not, respond to this level of awareness. Another secret to tapping into the power of her lips lies in the art of contrast. Don't just rely on a kiss to do all the work, incorporate other forms of stimulation. Lightly brush your fingertips along her jawline, her neck, or gently run them through her hair while your lips engage hers. The combination of different sensations, one light and teasing, the other more intimate, creates a whirlwind of feelings that amplifies her arousal. Even alternating the pressure of your kisses, going from soft to firm, can catch her off guard and send her senses into overdrive. But always remember, the key is never to rush. Rushing signals insecurity, while patience conveys control and confidence. Letting her stew in the anticipation builds an irresistible tension. By prolonging the moment, you give her mind space to imagine, desire, and ultimately crave what's coming next. One final tip: don't underestimate the power of a lingering kiss. After the build-up, when the moment finally arrives, make sure your first kiss isn't quick. Let it linger, making it a moment she'll replay in her mind. The lips, after all, are not just a gateway to physical pleasure, but a direct line to emotional connection. When you kiss her with intention, you're showing her that you see her, understand her, and appreciate her in ways that go beyond the physical. Men who understand this know that a woman's lips are the gateway to both emotional and physical intimacy. How you approach this can change the entire dynamic between you two. A well-timed kiss, or even the subtle brush of a hand across her lips, can communicate more than words ever could. It's about making her feel desired, cherished, and deeply connected to you, all while building her anticipation for what's to come. By mastering this approach, you tap into one of the most powerful and intimate aspects of female psychology, using patience, awareness, and the art of anticipation to bring her closer to you than she's ever been before. Chapter 2: The Sensitivity of the Neck. A woman's neck is one of the most vulnerable and sensitive areas on her body, making it a prime spot for sensual stimulation. The skin on the neck is thin and delicate, meaning that even the lightest touch can evoke a strong response. But much like the lips, mastering the neck requires subtlety and precision. It's not about immediate gratification, but about slowly drawing out her desires by making her feel every inch of your touch. The Stoics believed that true power comes from knowing when to act and when to withhold, and this is exactly how you must approach the neck. A man who understands female psychology knows that this area isn't to be rushed. Start with light, almost ghost-like touches. Brushing the back of your hand or your fingertips along the side of her neck will send shivers down her spine. It's about building anticipation without overplaying your hand. As you move closer, you might lightly trace your lips near her neck, not quite making contact. Feel the warmth of her skin, but don't indulge her desire too quickly. Once you do decide to touch her neck with your lips, start gently. The beauty of this area is that even the softest kiss can feel electric. You're not aiming to overwhelm her senses right away. Rather, you're trying to draw her deeper into the moment, making her hyper-aware of each movement. Whether it's a gentle kiss behind the ear or a soft trail down the side of her neck, you're slowly building an emotional and physical connection. The key to making this work is contrast. After the light kisses, add a bit more pressure, perhaps using your lips or even lightly grazing your teeth along the skin. This mix of sensations keeps her guessing, turning her anticipation into pure desire. Combine this with whispers close to her ear, letting your warm breath brush against her skin as you speak softly, and you will have her fully captivated. The neck is also psychologically significant. It's an area that is vulnerable and intimate, yet it can be easily overlooked by men who don't understand its power. When you show attention to her neck, you're tapping into her desire to be cared for, to be noticed, and to feel wanted. You're not just triggering a physical response, but you're also signaling that you understand her needs on a deeper level. A confident man knows how to balance control and vulnerability, and when you approach her neck with this understanding, you tap into both. You're in control of the moment, but you're also creating a space where she feels safe enough to let her guard down. This balance is what makes the experience unforgettable for her. Chapter 3. Around the ears, a zone of unexpected pleasure. The area around a woman's ears is often overlooked in the pursuit of intimacy, but it holds incredible potential for arousal when given the proper attention. The skin here is incredibly sensitive, and because of its proximity to her auditory senses, any touch or whisper you make is amplified in her mind, creating a heightened level of awareness and anticipation. Knowing how to stimulate this area properly can unlock sensations that are not only unexpected, but deeply satisfying, taking her by surprise in the best way possible. It's a subtle but potent zone that, when explored skillfully, can lead to powerful arousal. Much like the neck, the area around the ears responds best to a gentle and thoughtful approach. You want to begin with subtlety, allowing the anticipation to build as you slowly explore this sensitive region. Start by running your fingers lightly behind her ears, brushing the area where her hair meets the skin. This seemingly small gesture creates a delightful contrast between the warmth of her skin and the cool air surrounding it, sending tingles down her body and stirring a sense of pleasure. The light touch brings attention to an area she may not often think about in terms of intimacy, which only adds to the element of surprise. As you continue to stimulate her, you can softly trace the outer edge of her ear with the tip of your finger. This touch is light enough to tease, but intentional enough to begin building a deeper level of anticipation. The subtle movements of your fingers, combined with the natural sensitivity of the skin here, will heighten her awareness of every sensation, making her more attuned to the experience. Allowing this anticipation to build creates a sense of longing, making her crave more without fully realizing it yet. But what truly makes the area around the ears unique is the way it blends physical touch with auditory stimulation. The Stoics understood the profound power of words and how they could affect someone's inner world, shaping their emotions and reactions. Here, you have the perfect opportunity to wield that power. As you explore her ears with gentle touches, lean in close and whisper softly. Your words don't even need to be elaborate. Sometimes, the sound of your voice alone is enough to stir her senses. Whispering into her ear, your lips just barely brushing the outer part of her ear, creates a sensation that combines the auditory with the physical. The sound of your voice, paired with the warmth of your breath against her skin, heightens her senses, drawing her deeper into the moment. The proximity of your lips and breath to her ear amplifies the effect as her brain registers both the sound and touch simultaneously. This dual stimulation, both physical and mental, can create a powerful response, making her more receptive to everything you do next. You can say something soft and intimate or simply let the sound of your breath linger. Either way, the effect is intoxicating. Once you've teased her with these light touches and whispers, it's time to escalate. You can begin by gently grazing the area behind her ear with your lips, slowly increasing the intensity of your touch. A soft kiss just behind her ear or a delicate nibble on her earlobe can send shivers down her spine. The contrast between the whisper-soft sensations and the firmer touch of your lips keeps her guessing, continuously building her arousal. This shift between gentle and more deliberate contact ensures that she never fully anticipates what you'll do next, keeping her engaged and excited throughout. A man who understands the psychology of women knows that it's often the unexpected touches that are the most effective. By focusing on the area around the ears, you are directing attention to a part of her body that may not typically be seen as a primary pleasure point. However, by stimulating it, you are showing her that you understand her body in ways she may not fully realize herself. This not only adds to the physical arousal, but also enhances the psychological connection between the two of you. It signals that you are attentive to her desires and willing to explore her body with patience and care, which makes the experience all the more meaningful for her. The pleasure that arises from stimulating the area around her ears is both surprising and intimate. It's a blend of the physical sensation, the emotional connection, and the psychological engagement that makes this zone so potent. By moving between soft whispers, light touches, and firmer kisses or nibbles, you create an atmosphere of anticipation and excitement that she will not soon forget. This area holds untapped potential, and a man who knows how to unlock it can create an unforgettable experience that goes beyond mere physicality. Chapter 4: The Chest and Nipples, Heightened Sensitivity. A woman's chest and nipples are among the most sensitive and erogenous zones on her body, capable of delivering immense pleasure when approached with care and understanding. The key to enhancing her arousal through this area lies in balancing gentle stimulation with more assertive, confident contact. This sensitivity can either heighten her desire, drawing her deeper into the experience, or cause her to shut down if mishandled. Therefore, understanding the subtleties of how to navigate this delicate area is crucial for an intimate connection. The best way to start is by going slow. This is not an area that responds well to rushed or aggressive touch right from the beginning. Like most erogenous zones, a gradual build-up in stimulation is far more effective. Use the back of your hand or your fingertips to lightly brush across her chest, deliberately avoiding her nipples at first. This light, teasing touch increases anticipation, making her more aware of the sensations building up in her body. It's all about creating that sense of suspense, where she's eagerly waiting for more intense contact. Soft, lingering kisses around her collarbone or the tops of her breasts also heighten the anticipation, setting the stage for a more intimate and pleasurable experience. When you do begin to focus on her nipples, it's important to remember that every woman's sensitivity in this area varies. What might feel exhilarating to one woman could be overwhelming or even uncomfortable for another. Start with light touches, whether with your fingers or lips, and pay close attention to her reactions. Small, subtle gestures like gently flicking your tongue or lightly grazing her skin with your fingertips can ignite an electric sensation. Experiment with alternating between soft, feather-light strokes and firmer pressure to keep her engaged, guessing what's coming next. This constant variation in touch keeps her body fully stimulated and receptive, preventing any part of the experience from becoming predictable or mundane. However, it's important to remember that physical stimulation is just one part of the equation. Verbal communication plays a huge role in enhancing the overall experience. Whispering sweet compliments, telling her how much she excites you, or simply speaking softly in her ear adds a layer of emotional intimacy to the physical sensation. This combination of physical and emotional stimulation is what really deepens her connection to you in the moment. Women are often more attuned to the intention behind your actions, and when you combine emotional presence with the right physical touch, the entire experience becomes far more powerful and memorable for her. Confidence is essential when it comes to stimulating a woman's chest and nipples. A man who truly understands female psychology knows that this isn't just about physical pleasure, it's an opportunity to show care, control, and emotional awareness. Approach the area with a mix of assertiveness and sensitivity. There's power in being able to guide the experience while also remaining attuned to her needs. Women appreciate a partner who can confidently take the lead without being too forceful, striking the perfect balance between dominance and tenderness. As you move through these different stages of stimulation, don't rush the process. Every moment you spend building up to more intense contact is an opportunity to create deeper arousal and trust. The goal isn't just to deliver physical pleasure, but to create a holistic experience where she feels fully connected to both you and her own body. The chest, especially the nipples, is a deeply intimate area for many women, and by approaching it with patience and care, you unlock a profound level of intimacy that goes beyond mere physical touch. And it's not just about what you do with your hands or lips. The atmosphere you create plays a big role in how she experiences your touch. Setting the right mood, whether through lighting, soft music, or even the tone of your voice, can elevate the entire encounter. Women are highly receptive to their surroundings and the emotional energy in the room. A calm, inviting environment allows her to relax and fully immerse herself in the sensations you're providing. Furthermore, it's important to keep in mind that this area can hold emotional significance for many women. Some women may feel vulnerable when having their chest touched, and it's important to be sensitive to this fact. Your touch should never feel mechanical or purely focused on physical pleasure. Instead, approach it as a way to build trust and emotional intimacy. The more attuned you are to her feelings and reactions, the more powerful and rewarding the experience will be for both of you. Lastly, always remain adaptable. Every woman is different, and what works in one encounter may not necessarily work in another. The beauty of exploring a woman's chest and nipples lies in the uniqueness of her responses. As you grow more experienced and connected with her body, you'll learn to read the subtle cues she gives, whether it's a sigh, a shift in her breathing, or a slight change in body language. These signs will guide you toward what she enjoys most, helping you tailor each experience to what feels right in the moment. By combining thoughtful touch, emotional presence, and an understanding of her unique sensitivities, you can create an experience that is not only physically pleasurable but deeply intimate, leaving her feeling cherished, understood, and connected to you in a way that transcends mere physicality. Approach her chest with respect and care, and it will open the door to a deeper, more profound connection that she will remember long after the moment has passed. Chapter 5: The Inner Thighs, Teasing Her to the Edge. The inner thighs are a remarkably sensitive and often overlooked part of the body when it comes to intimacy. While many tend to focus on the more obvious pleasure zones, it is this area that holds a secret, untapped potential for arousal. The inner thighs, with their proximity to the most intimate parts of her body, can act as a powerful conduit for desire. When stimulated in the right way, This area can build anticipation, stir powerful emotions, and drive her wild with longing. It's not just about physical sensation, it's about creating an atmosphere of craving and tension, drawing her deeper into the moment. By learning how to tease and excite this area, you open a door to a more intense, passionate connection. To begin, make your touch light and delicate as you brush your fingers gently along the inside of her thigh. The goal here is to be purposeful yet restrained, letting her feel every movement without rushing into anything too quickly. The very nearness of your touch to the more intimate regions of her body heightens the intensity, creating a mental and physical connection that causes her to anticipate what's coming next. This subtle stimulation links directly to her natural physical responses, triggering her desire without overwhelming her senses. This kind of control and restraint is key, as the Stoics knew well, true mastery lies in controlling the urge even when desire is at its peak. It's about teasing her, making her yearn for more, while holding back from giving in fully. As you continue to explore the inner thighs, gradually increase the intensity. Start by letting your touch linger a little longer, brushing closer to the edge of those intimate areas, but never quite reaching them. This drives her to the edge of anticipation. Her body will respond instinctively, her breathing becoming shallower, her muscles tensing in expectation of what's to come. At this point, you can begin to introduce new sensations by using your lips. Lightly kiss or graze your lips over the surface of her skin, or softly nibble along the inside of her thigh. The contrast between the soft touch of your lips and the firmness of your hands will keep her hyper-aware of every movement, amplifying her senses. This alternating pressure creates a dynamic build-up of pleasure, one that draws her in slowly but powerfully. This entire process should be a slow build, increasing in intensity but never losing the underlying sense of patience. The inner thighs are perfect for this kind of gradual arousal. This area allows you to bring her closer and closer to the edge without actually pushing her over. By maintaining control over her pleasure, you can extend the anticipation, keeping her in a state of heightened awareness and desire. Every touch, every kiss, and every subtle movement becomes part of a larger narrative of teasing and longing, all of which heightens her eventual release when you choose to give her what she craves. Psychologically, the inner thighs are also significant. Focusing on this area demonstrates a level of understanding and attentiveness that many miss. It shows that you're not in a hurry to reach the obvious pleasure points, but rather that you appreciate her entire body as a landscape of potential pleasure. By lingering on the thighs, you communicate that her satisfaction is about more than the physical. It's about the journey, the build-up, and the connection between the two of you. This act of patience and attentiveness not only creates a physical reaction, but fosters a deeper, more emotional connection. She will appreciate the way you take your time, allowing her body to respond naturally, and this level of care deepens the intimacy between you. In this process, you are not just teasing her body, you are engaging her mind and emotions, drawing her into an experience that is as mental as it is physical. The anticipation you build with each deliberate touch and kiss will make her crave more, and that craving is the key to a truly profound connection. By mastering the art of teasing her inner thighs, you are showing her that you understand the depth of intimacy and how to elevate the experience into something extraordinary, something that transcends mere physical pleasure. In the end, the inner thighs hold the power to unlock a deeper level of arousal and connection, making her not just want, but need more from you. The art lies in the tease, in knowing when to give and when to hold back. And as you guide her to the edge with this knowledge, the intensity of her eventual release will be all the more powerful, leaving both of you breathless and deeply satisfied. Chapter 6. The Magic of the Lower Back, Touched Appropriately. The lower back is often underestimated as a zone of female arousal, yet it holds incredible potential when touched appropriately. The reason lies in both its physical sensitivity and the psychological implications of where it's located. The lower back is a vulnerable area, close to the spine, and touching it in the right way can create an instant spark. But it's not just about the sensation, it's about the message your touch sends and how it resonates on a deeper emotional and physical level. When explored with care and intention, the lower back becomes a gateway to an intimate connection that transcends mere physicality. For centuries, Stoics understood the power of subtle control, how a well-timed touch or movement could convey authority and dominance without saying a word. The lower back is a perfect area to apply this concept. When you lightly place your hand on a woman's lower back, you're not only connecting with one of her most sensitive areas, but you're also signaling control and protection. It's a gesture that can make her feel both secure and desired, fostering an underlying sense of trust and connection. This touch can transcend the physical, making her feel emotionally connected and more attuned to your presence, deepening the bond between the two of you. Start with a light touch. Use your fingertips to gently trace the curve of her spine, moving down towards her lower back. The key is to keep it delicate, as the skin here is highly sensitive. This area is naturally responsive to even the lightest contact, so take your time to explore the surface gently, letting her become accustomed to the sensation. Once she begins to relax and enjoy the feeling, you can gradually apply a little more pressure. Using the palm of your hand to make a firmer connection, glide your hand in a slow, deliberate movement from her upper back down to her lower back. This movement not only creates a sense of warmth and anticipation, but also stirs a subtle arousal that builds over time. But don't stop at just the touch. Combine it with body language that signals confidence and intent. When you place your hand on her lower back, gently pull her closer to you. This physical act sends a clear psychological message: she's in your orbit, and you're in control of the moment. The combination of this physical and psychological stimulation will make her feel desired, creating an intimate connection that goes far beyond mere physicality. The lower back serves as a bridge between the physical and the emotional, turning what might seem like a simple touch into something deeply meaningful and profoundly intimate. The magic of the lower back lies in how it can be used to enhance other forms of touch and intimacy. For example, if you're kissing her or whispering in her ear, resting your hand on her lower back creates a sense of closeness and intimacy. It draws her deeper into the experience, making every other sensation feel more intense and meaningful. This small but powerful move helps to heighten her awareness of her body and the sensation she is feeling, ultimately deepening the emotional and physical connection between you. A touch on her lower back has the ability to amplify everything else, making the entire experience feel more immersive and engaging for both of you. Touching the lower back is about more than just triggering a physical response. It's about creating a sense of connection, trust, and emotional security. When done with care, it makes her feel cared for and desired on a deeper level, opening the door to a stronger emotional bond. This is a crucial aspect that many men overlook, but those who understand its power can unlock a woman's desire in a way that few can. A simple touch, when done with the right intent, can speak volumes and create a lasting impression that resonates both physically and emotionally. The importance of touching the lower back cannot be understated. It's a subtle, often forgotten erogenous zone that can evoke strong emotional reactions when touched properly. By mastering this touch, you're showing a deeper level of understanding and attentiveness to her body, which will not go unnoticed. In the end, this kind of attention can make all the difference, turning a fleeting moment into one of profound connection and intimacy. Whether through a light caress or a firmer gesture, the lower back holds the key to unlocking new dimensions of desire and trust that will elevate your bond to new heights. Chapter 7: The Sensuality of the Hips, a Gateway to Desire. The hips are a deeply sensual part of a woman's body, and understanding how to approach them can unlock an intense physical and emotional connection. The hips are not only an area of physical strength and movement, but also a zone of incredible sensitivity. When you touch a woman's hips, you're tapping into a primal part of her desire, an area that connects to both her mind and body on a deeper level. The Stoics knew the importance of balance and control, and this applies perfectly when touching a woman's hips. Your goal is to guide her, to lead her through the experience without rushing or overpowering her. Begin by placing your hands gently on her hips, applying just enough pressure to make her feel your presence. The hips are an area that responds well to firmness, but only if it's done with intention. Use your thumbs to gently press into her hips while your fingers rest on her lower back or abdomen. This subtle combination of pressure can send shivers through her body, as the hips are connected to her core muscles, which respond instinctively to touch. If she's standing or moving, lightly guiding her hips can create a sense of rhythm and flow between you, heightening the physical connection. But the true power of the hips isn't just in the physical touch, it's in the psychological impact. When you place your hands on a woman's hips, you are signaling confidence and control. You're showing her that you know how to handle her body in a way that will lead to pleasure, without needing to rush to more obvious zones. The hips are a gateway to more intimate areas, and by focusing on them, you're building anticipation and desire. As with other erogenous zones, contrast is key. Alternate between light touches and firmer grips, keeping her body engaged and her mind guessing. You can also use her hips as a way to control the flow of your movements together. Whether you're guiding her during a dance or pulling her closer during an embrace, your hands on her hips create a sense of connection that extends beyond the physical. Touching a woman's hips is about more than just arousal, it's about creating a sense of unity and flow between you. It's about guiding her through the experience in a way that makes her feel desired, while also allowing her to trust your control. This balance between strength and subtlety is what makes the hip such a powerful zone for unlocking female desire. Men who understand this crucial weakness know that the hips are a key to a woman's deepest desires, both physical and emotional. By mastering how to touch this area, you're not just creating a moment of pleasure, you're building a connection that will linger in her mind long after the moment has passed. These chapters, from the lips to the hips, reveal some of the most sensitive and vulnerable areas on a woman's body. But it's not just about knowing where to touch, it's about how and when. Every movement, every caress, and every moment of anticipation you create will deepen her connection to you. So, if you're one of the rare men who truly understands the psychology of female weakness, you already have the upper hand. Stay patient, stay in control, and watch how the power of your touch can unlock her desire in ways she didn't even know were possible. In the exploration of a woman's body, every touch, every whisper, and every gesture carries a meaning that goes beyond the physical. Each zone, from the delicate sensitivity of the inner thighs to the underestimated potential of the lower back, represents an opportunity to build intimacy and trust. When approached with care, patience, and awareness, these areas become more than just points of pleasure, they are gateways to deeper emotional connections and mutual understanding. A man who can truly connect with a woman understands that the journey toward intimacy is not about rushing to the obvious. It's about taking the time to savor the moment, exploring her body with subtlety, and recognizing that every inch has its own story to tell. By focusing on often overlooked areas, like the ears and lower back, you're showing her that you value her as a whole, not just the most commonly recognized pleasure points. The art of connection lies in mastering not just the touch, but the emotional resonance that follows. Women are wired to respond to both the physical and emotional cues they receive, and those who can blend these two elements create an experience that's truly unforgettable. A well-timed whisper, a gentle caress along the spine, or the teasing touch of her inner thigh can become moments that linger long after the night has ended. The Stoics, who taught us the value of self-control, also knew the importance of being present in the moment. In intimacy, this means tuning into her reactions, adjusting your touch, and knowing when to hold back and when to move forward. This kind of mindfulness creates a sense of trust, allowing her to open up emotionally and physically. Ultimately, the key to unlocking a woman's deepest desires is not found in complex techniques or rigid routines. It's found in the connection you build through patience, presence, and a genuine understanding of her needs. Intimacy is not a destination, it's a shared experience, a dance between two people that's as much about trust as it is about pleasure. By mastering the art of subtle control and learning how to touch her in ways that speak to both her body and her heart, you unlock not just her physical arousal, but a deeper connection that creates lasting intimacy. In the end, that's what true mastery is all about, not just the ability to please, but the ability to connect, understand, and create moments that will be remembered long after the touch has faded. The Stoics, through their enduring pursuit of wisdom, developed a profound understanding of human nature, particularly the psychology of attraction. While their philosophy was rooted in reason, the Stoics knew that emotions, desires, and attachments play an undeniable role in human relationships. In their careful observations, they saw patterns emerge in behavior, especially between men and women. Today, we're going to tap into that ancient wisdom to explore why, sometimes, ignoring women can make them care more. This may sound counterintuitive, but there's a deep psychological reasoning behind it. And when understood properly, it can offer you an advantage in navigating modern relationships. Watch until the end, because we're going to cover 7 key reasons why ignoring a woman can make her think about you more and crave your attention. These insights are inspired by Stoic principles, but will be delivered in a very direct, provocative manner. If this resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own stories in the comments. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Women want an alpha male. Women have always been drawn to strength, both physical and emotional. From the survival-driven days of ancient times to the complexities of today's world, women instinctively gravitate toward men who exude confidence, control, and independence. These traits are the foundation of what society often refers to as the alpha male. However, before we dive into the stereotypical idea of an alpha, a loud, aggressive, and domineering figure, let's refine that image. The Stoics, who were masters of self-control and inner strength, would have understood the true alpha male as someone who is not a brute, but rather a man who commands respect through composure, presence, and self-mastery. The alpha male, in its truest sense, is not defined by how much attention he demands, but by how much control he has over his desires and emotions. And this is precisely why ignoring women, or being selectively indifferent, works so effectively. An alpha male doesn't chase after validation because he understands his own value. He doesn't need constant affirmation from others to feel good about himself, and women pick up on this. His sense of self-worth is deeply rooted, which makes him scarce with his attention. This scarcity drives women wild because it triggers a fundamental truth: people want what they can't easily have. Why does ignoring a woman trigger such a strong response? It's simple. Alpha males don't give their energy away freely. They know that their time, their attention, and their emotional investment are valuable. When a man stops responding to every text immediately, or he doesn't leap at every opportunity to spend time with her, he sends a powerful message. That message says, "I have my own life. I am in control. I am not here to cater to you at every moment." This triggers curiosity and intrigue in women. She starts wondering why this man isn't reacting like every other man. Why hasn't he fallen for her yet? Why doesn't he seem desperate to win her approval? This subtle distancing causes her to want him more. Let's dive into why this works. Most men, when they're interested in a woman, immediately shower her with attention, affection, and compliments. They believe that by proving their devotion early on, they'll win her over. But this approach often has the opposite effect. It communicates neediness. Women can sense when a man is overly eager to please, and it can be a huge turn-off. The Stoics understood the dangers of being controlled by external desires. They preached self-restraint and mastery over one's impulses. An alpha male who practices this restraint in his interactions with women comes across as strong, self-assured, and, most importantly, rare. Now, this doesn't mean that ignoring a woman equates to treating her poorly or being rude. It's about balance. The alpha male understands that his worth doesn't depend on the approval of any one person, male or female. He is content with his own company and his own pursuits, and this independence is what makes him so attractive. When a woman realizes that a man isn't desperately vying for her attention, she starts to see him differently. He becomes a challenge. And as we all know, people, especially women, are drawn to challenges. The psychology behind this is rooted in scarcity. Think about anything in life that is readily available. People tend to take it for granted. But when something is scarce, its value skyrockets. Women are no different. When you are constantly available, responding to every text immediately, bending over backward to meet her needs, you become too accessible. There's no mystery, no tension, no intrigue. But when you pull back, when you're not always within reach, she starts to feel that scarcity. And that's when she begins to crave your attention. The Stoics believed that true strength lies in controlling one's emotions and desires rather than being controlled by them. In the realm of relationships, this concept applies perfectly. A man who practices restraint, who doesn't let his attraction for a woman dictate his every move, demonstrates emotional maturity and self-discipline. This is incredibly appealing to women. It shows them that you are not a slave to your desires, that you're capable of making decisions based on reason, not just passion. Let's look at the contrast. The man who is constantly texting, constantly available, constantly seeking validation from a woman comes across as weak. His need for her approval becomes transparent, and once a woman senses that desperation, she loses respect for him. In her eyes, he's no longer a man in control, he's a man driven by his need to be liked, to be wanted, to be validated. And nothing is more unattractive to a woman than a man who lacks self-worth. Ignoring a woman doesn't mean ghosting her or playing manipulative mind games. It's about creating a healthy distance. It's about showing her that while you're interested, you're not going to compromise your own life, your own values, or your own time to chase after her. This is what sets an alpha male apart from the rest. He doesn't need her validation to feel whole, and that's what makes him irresistible. When you embody these traits, you naturally exude an aura of confidence that women can't resist. Women want a man who seems just out of reach, someone they have to work for. When you're not always available, when you're not showering her with attention, she starts to feel the pull. She starts to wonder why you're different. And in that wondering, she begins to think about you more. You become the exception, the man who stands apart from all the others who are eager to please. This is the essence of the alpha male. He doesn't need to chase after women because women chase after him. He's calm, composed, and in control of his emotions. He doesn't let his desire for a woman cloud his judgment or dictate his behavior. And that's why ignoring women, when done with intention and respect, makes them care more. It's not about playing games, it's about showing that you value yourself, your time, and your energy. When a woman sees that you're not just another man who will do anything to get her attention, she realizes that you're a man worth pursuing. In the end, it's about setting yourself apart. It's about becoming the man who doesn't rely on the approval of others to feel good about himself. Women will naturally be drawn to that kind of strength. And as the Stoics knew, true strength comes from within, from mastering your desires, controlling your impulses, and always remaining calm under pressure. That is the essence of the alpha male. And that is why ignoring women in the right way makes them care right away. Chapter 2: Women want validation or compliments. Let's face it, women, like men, crave validation. It's a basic human need to feel valued and appreciated, and many women are conditioned from a young age to seek validation through attention, compliments, and approval from others. Whether it's through social media, where they can easily rack up likes and comments on a single photo, or in social interactions where men constantly shower them with compliments, validation is something women often expect. However, here's where the Stoics' understanding of human nature comes into play. They believed in controlling emotions and not being swayed by external forces. Stoicism teaches that to live a fulfilling life, one must not depend on the opinions or approval of others. This idea applies directly to how men should handle interactions with women. The man who constantly compliments a woman or excessively validates her desires is, in essence, giving away his power. He becomes just another man in the crowd, easily swayed by beauty or charm. Ignoring a woman, or at least withholding overt compliments, instantly sets you apart. When a woman is used to getting validation from every man she meets, the one man who doesn't fall into that pattern becomes the exception. He becomes the puzzle she wants to solve. It's a shift in dynamic. Instead of you chasing her for validation, she begins chasing you. Why? Because you're not giving her what she expects, and this creates a psychological gap that she feels compelled to close. In today's world, where instant gratification is the norm, a man who doesn't immediately shower a woman with attention is seen as a challenge. A compliment from such a man, when it finally comes, feels earned and therefore holds more weight. When you ignore the impulse to validate her right away, it creates a sense of intrigue. She'll start wondering why you haven't complimented her, why you seem indifferent when everyone else is so eager to please. The psychology here is simple. Women often measure their self-worth through external validation, and when you withhold that validation, it forces her to seek it from you. This doesn't mean being cold or dismissive, it's about balance. You're not ignoring her existence, you're merely not placing her on a pedestal. You're communicating, whether consciously or unconsciously, that your attention and compliments are valuable, not something you give away freely. Now, this approach does more than just spark her interest. It also establishes a dynamic where you're seen as a man who values himself. The Stoics believed that self-respect and inner worth were crucial to living a virtuous life. By not being quick to validate a woman's beauty or actions, you demonstrate that you don't need to appease others to feel good about yourself. This is attractive because it shows strength. A man who knows his own worth doesn't feel the need to endlessly prove it through flattery. Women are used to being complimented on their looks, their charm, or their personality. When you're the one man who doesn't give that validation right away, it shifts the power dynamic. Instead of you vying for her attention, she starts wondering what she needs to do to win yours. It's basic psychology. People want what they feel they can't easily get. A Stoic man understands that true validation comes from within. He doesn't need to flatter someone else to feel good about himself. By withholding validation, you not only set yourself apart but also force her to think about you more. Why? Because now she's chasing that validation from you. And once she's emotionally invested in seeking your approval, you shifted the power dynamic in your favor. Compliments, when used sparingly, can be powerful. But the man who is constantly doling them out loses his edge. Women aren't attracted to men who make themselves too available, too easy to read, or too desperate to please. They want a challenge. They want a man whose attention and validation they have to work for. By ignoring her need for immediate validation, you create that challenge. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions. It's about understanding human nature and using that understanding to navigate relationships. The Stoics would have seen this as an exercise in self-control. Just as they practiced restraint in their own desires, they would recognize the power of restraint when it comes to giving away attention and validation. When you hold back, you become more valuable in her eyes. And the moment she begins seeking validation from you, The tables turn, and you're no longer chasing her approval, she's chasing yours. Chapter 3: Women want what they can't have. One of the most fundamental truths about human nature is that we desire what is just out of our reach. Whether it's the latest tech gadget, a coveted job position, or in this case, a romantic interest, people are naturally drawn to things that seem difficult to attain. This principle is no different when it comes to women. In fact, it's amplified. Women, much like anyone else, are conditioned to want what they can't easily have, and the more distant or elusive a man seems, the more appealing he becomes. This ties directly into the Stoic understanding of scarcity and value. The Stoics recognized that what is rare and difficult to obtain is often more valued than what is readily available. In the context of relationships, this concept plays out in a very powerful way. A man who is always available, always showering a woman with attention, always eager to meet her every need, becomes predictable and, ultimately, less valuable in her eyes. But when you practice a certain level of detachment, when you don't respond immediately to every text or jump at every opportunity to be with her, you create a sense of scarcity around your attention. And scarcity breeds desire. Think about it, if you could have everything you ever wanted at the snap of your fingers, would you value it as much? Of course not. It's the things we have to work for, the things that require effort, that we appreciate the most. Women are no different. When you make yourself too easy to get, she doesn't have to put in any effort, and as a result, she doesn't feel the same level of desire or excitement. But when you make yourself a little more distant, a little harder to obtain, it ignites a spark. Now, she has to work for your attention, and that process of working for it makes her want you even more. This doesn't mean completely ignoring her or playing manipulative games. It's about balance. It's about showing her that while you're interested, you're not going to bend over backward to win her approval. You're not desperate. You're not going to chase after her like every other man who's fallen under her spell. And that's precisely what makes you different. Women are biologically and psychologically wired to appreciate men who are a challenge. It's part of the mating game that's been hardwired into human beings for centuries. When a man is distant or aloof, it triggers something primal in a woman's mind. She starts thinking about how she can win him over, how she can get him to notice her more. This chase becomes exciting, and that excitement turns into attraction. The Stoics, with their emphasis on self-control, would have understood the power of this principle. They believed that true mastery came from controlling one's impulses, and this extends to relationships. A man who can control his desire to constantly be available, who can resist the urge to chase after a woman, demonstrates a level of inner strength that is highly attractive. He's not controlled by his emotions or desires. Instead, he's in command of them, and this command makes him appear even more desirable. By making yourself a little more elusive, you force her to think about you. You become the man she can't easily have, and as a result, you're the man she wants the most. It's a psychological game that plays out in subtle but powerful ways. And the moment she starts chasing you, the dynamic shifts. She's no longer in control of the situation, you are. Chapter 4: Women are emotional. The Stoics believed that emotions, while powerful, could and should be controlled through reason and discipline. However, they also recognized that not everyone could master their emotions the way a true Stoic could. This is especially true for women who, by nature, tend to be more emotionally driven than men. Understanding this is key to understanding why ignoring a woman can have such a profound impact. Women are emotional creatures, and much of their behavior in relationships is driven by feelings rather than logic. When you ignore a woman or don't immediately cater to her emotional needs, it creates a certain level of emotional tension. And this tension is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it can be the very thing that makes her more attracted to you. You see, when a woman is ignored, it stirs her emotions. She starts to wonder why you're not responding. Is it something she did? Is there someone else? This uncertainty causes her emotions to spiral, and the more emotionally involved she becomes, the more she thinks about you. Ignoring her taps into her emotional side, and because women are driven by their emotions, this can be an incredibly powerful tool in creating attraction. This is where the Stoic principle of emotional control comes in. While a woman may be caught up in her emotions, the man who remains calm, composed, and in control appears even more attractive. He's not swept away by his feelings. He doesn't act out of desperation or neediness. Instead, he's grounded in his own sense of self, and this emotional stability makes him a rock in the storm of her emotions. The more you ignore her, or at least, the more you resist the urge to immediately satisfy her emotional needs, the more she becomes emotionally invested. She starts to feel that emotional tension, and it's that tension that keeps her thinking about you, wondering about you, and ultimately wanting you more. Chapter 5. Women test men constantly. Women have a natural instinct to test men. It's a subconscious process that they often don't even realize they're doing. But rest assured, if a woman is interested in you, she's going to test you. These tests are designed to gauge your strength, your confidence, and most importantly, your emotional stability. And one of the most common ways a woman will test a man is by withdrawing her attention or acting cold to see how he reacts. This is where many men fail. They panic. They become desperate. They start chasing after the woman, trying to win back her approval. But this is exactly what she's testing for. She wants to see if you can handle her emotional fluctuations without losing your cool. She's testing to see if you're strong enough to maintain your composure when things aren't going your way. When a woman pulls back, the worst thing you can do is chase after her. Instead, you need to remain calm, indifferent even. This shows her that you're not dependent on her attention for your sense of self-worth. You're not going to be rattled by her emotional games. And this is exactly what she's looking for. Women want a man who can handle their emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Ignoring a woman when she pulls back is one of the most effective ways to pass this test. It shows her that you're not going to be manipulated by her emotional ups and downs. It shows her that you're strong, that you're in control, and that you're not going to lose your composure just because she's acting cold. This is incredibly attractive to women because it demonstrates emotional maturity and strength. In the end, ignoring a woman, especially when she's testing you, is about showing her that you're not like every other man. You're not going to be easily swayed by her emotional games. You're not going to lose your cool just because she's acting distant. Instead, you remain calm, composed, and in control. And that's exactly what women are looking for in a man. Chapter 6. Women are drawn to mystery. There's something irresistibly captivating about a man who remains an enigma. The human mind is naturally curious. We are wired to want to know the unknown, to solve puzzles and mysteries. For women, this desire to uncover what's hidden extends into the realm of attraction. When a man keeps a certain level of mystery about himself, it triggers a woman's curiosity, drawing her in deeper. And how do you create this aura of mystery? By ignoring her, or at least not giving away too much, too soon. The Stoics believed in the virtue of silence and the power of restraint. They understood that not every thought or feeling needed to be expressed. This philosophy can easily be applied to relationships. When a man doesn't lay all his cards on the table right away, when he holds back certain details about his life, his thoughts, his feelings, he becomes more intriguing. Women love to figure out a man's inner workings, but if you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, you eliminate the excitement of discovery. By ignoring her, or by not responding in predictable ways, you maintain an air of unpredictability. She can't quite figure you out. Are you interested? Are you not? This uncertainty gnaws at her. She'll replay interactions in her mind, trying to decode your behavior. She'll talk to her friends about you, trying to get advice on how to get your attention. And the more she thinks about you, the more emotionally invested she becomes. Mystery fuels attraction because it engages a woman's mind as well as her emotions. The more you keep her guessing, the more invested she becomes in solving the puzzle that is you. The Stoics would have admired this form of restraint as it shows discipline over one's impulses. You don't feel the need to spill your every thought or emotion the moment you feel it. Instead, you let her wander, let her imagination fill in the gaps, and in doing so, you become far more compelling than the man who is an open book. Another crucial aspect of maintaining mystery is keeping your life full and interesting outside of her. When you're not always available, when you have your own goals, hobbies, and interests that take precedence, it shows her that you're a man with depth, a man who doesn't need her attention to feel validated. You're a man who values his own time and space, and that makes her want to be part of your world even more. The less you reveal, the more she wants to know. The more time she spends thinking about you, the more emotionally invested she becomes. It's a cycle that keeps her coming back for more, wondering what's going on in your mind. And the longer you keep her guessing, the stronger her desire grows. Remember, women are emotional creatures, but they're also thinkers. A man who is too obvious, too available, or too predictable quickly becomes boring. But a man who is a bit of a mystery? That's the man who keeps her intrigued. By not always responding immediately to her texts, by not telling her everything about your day, by occasionally ignoring her in social settings, you create that mystery that women find so alluring. This doesn't mean playing games or being deceitful, it simply means exercising control over how much you reveal and when. The Stoics practiced this in their daily lives, understanding that not every truth needed to be spoken, not every emotion needed to be displayed. By adopting this philosophy in your interactions with women, you become the man who stands out from the rest. You become the man she can't stop thinking about because she's constantly trying to figure you out. In the end, women are drawn to men who make them feel something, whether it's curiosity, excitement, or even frustration. By keeping a certain level of mystery, you stir those emotions within her, making her more invested in you. And once she's invested emotionally, she's far more likely to care about you and pursue your attention. Chapter 7. Ignoring makes her question her own value. Perhaps one of the most powerful effects of ignoring a woman is how it makes her question her own value in your eyes. Women are accustomed to being the center of attention, especially from men who are eager to win their approval. When you don't give her that immediate attention, it creates a sense of self-doubt. Suddenly, she's no longer sure if she's as irresistible as she thought. This shift in perception is a game-changer in how she views you and herself. The Stoics understood the power of self-perception. They believed that how you see yourself shapes your entire reality, and this applies to how women perceive their own desirability. A woman who is constantly validated by men begins to believe that her worth is tied to that validation. When you ignore her, you're challenging that belief. You're not feeding into the constant stream of attention she's used to, and this causes her to question herself. This may sound manipulative, but it's actually a natural psychological response. When someone doesn't receive the validation they expect, they start to wonder why. Is it something they did? Are they not attractive enough? Are they losing their touch? In a woman's mind, these questions can create a powerful emotional response, one that makes her care even more about what you think. By ignoring her, you're essentially shifting the power dynamic. Instead of her being the one in control of the interaction, where she expects men to chase after her, you're now the one holding the cards. She's the one who begins to chase after your attention, because she needs to resolve the uncertainty you've created in her mind. This isn't about making her feel bad about herself. It's about creating a balance in the interaction where you're not constantly feeding her ego. A man who does this demonstrates that he's not swayed by her beauty or charm, and that makes him far more attractive. Women are drawn to men who can stand their ground, who don't crumble under the pressure of their allure. Ignoring her makes her question her own desirability, but more importantly, it makes her work harder to win your approval. She starts to care more because you're not giving her the easy validation she's used to. She begins to wonder why she hasn't caught your attention in the way other men have, and this causes her to become more invested in getting you to notice her. The Stoics would have seen this as a form of emotional discipline. By not giving in to the impulse to shower her with attention, you're exercising control over the situation. You're not allowing her to dictate the terms of the interaction. Instead, you're calmly maintaining your own boundaries, and that self-assuredness makes you far more desirable. In the end, women want to feel valued, but they also want to feel like they've earned that value. When you ignore her, or at least don't give her immediate validation, you're creating a dynamic where she has to put in effort to win your attention. And that effort makes your attention all the more rewarding when she finally gets it. This is why ignoring works so well. It's not about being cold or dismissive, it's about showing that you're not like every other man who's quick to validate her. You're a man who values himself, and that makes her value you more. Once she starts to care about what you think, the dynamic shifts, and she's the one who's eager to win your approval. In conclusion, the Stoics would have admired the self-discipline involved in ignoring a woman in the right context. It's not about manipulation, it's about understanding human nature and using that understanding to create a balanced, respectful dynamic where you're in control of your own emotions and actions. And in the process, you become the man she cares about and ultimately desires. Now that you've made it through the 7 reasons why ignoring women can make them care about you right away, remember this, it's not about playing games or being manipulative. The Stoics mastered the art of self-discipline, restraint, and understanding human psychology. By embracing these principles, you're not just ignoring for the sake of it, you're showcasing your strength, your confidence, and your value. Women are drawn to men who can maintain control of their emotions, who aren't desperate for validation, and who don't chase at the first sign of interest. When you pull back, you create intrigue, mystery, and a powerful shift in the dynamic, allowing her to invest in winning you over. So next time, practice a little Stoic self-restraint, let her come to you. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Share your own story or thoughts on the topic, and let us know if you've ever experienced the power of ignoring someone and how it played out. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, remember to keep your composure, stay grounded, and be the alpha male who knows his worth. See you in the next episode. The ancient Stoics were masters of understanding human nature and emotions. While they didn't write directly about romantic relationships, their principles of self-control, emotional discipline, and reading between the lines of human behavior are as relevant today as they were centuries ago. The Stoics knew that emotions drive most of our decisions, and they practiced the art of managing those emotions to gain power over themselves and, by extension, over others. In today's episode, we'll dive into how these same principles can be applied to make women miss you, even if they initially weren't interested. The key lies in emotional mastery and the subtle, psychological moves you make. Trust me, if you follow these 7 powerful steps, 99% of women will start thinking about you, wondering what you're doing, and missing you deeply. Make sure to watch this video till the end, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And if you've had any personal experience with this, share your story in the comments, we'd love to hear from you. Let's get started with the first chapter. Chapter 1, Don't Contact Her. It might seem like the exact opposite of what you should do, but the most effective way to make a woman miss you is to simply not contact her. This isn't about playing childish games or trying to manipulate her feelings. It's about creating space that will spark curiosity and longing. Human psychology tells us that we value things more when we don't have constant access to them. When you're always present, always texting or calling, you become a part of her routine. And while routines are comfortable, they're rarely exciting. By pulling back, you shift the dynamic. Think about the ancient Stoics and their approach to life. They believed in controlling impulses and mastering emotional discipline. They never allowed themselves to be overly reactive to external situations, choosing instead to remain calm and detached. In the same way, you need to resist the urge to reach out to her constantly. The more you flood her with attention, the more she takes it for granted. But when you call back, you create a vacuum, a space where she begins to notice your absence. Here's the fascinating part. Even if she wasn't particularly interested in you to begin with, your absence forces her to reevaluate the situation. She starts to wonder why you stopped texting, calling, or engaging with her. She might even begin to question whether she misjudged her feelings about you. When you're no longer available, she'll realize the void left in your wake. This is basic human nature. We crave what we can't easily have. The mistake most men make is being too available. They believe that constant communication is necessary to maintain a woman's interest. But this is where the Stoic philosophy of restraint comes into play. By not reaching out, you're showing her that you're not emotionally dependent on her response or validation. You have your own life to live, and you're not going to drop everything to chase after her. However, consistency is key here. If you pull back for a day or two and then suddenly reappear with a text explaining your silence, you lose all the progress you've made. True detachment, true mastery of this tactic, means embracing the silence without explanation. You don't owe her a reason for not contacting her. The more she wonders why you're distant, the more she'll begin to miss the attention she once took for granted. Imagine this: she checks her phone, expecting to see a message from you like she's used to, but nothing comes. Hours turn into days, and still no word from you. Slowly, she starts to question herself. Why hasn't he reached out? Did I do something wrong? The more she overthinks it, the more she becomes emotionally invested. And here's the beauty of it: she's thinking about you more when you're not contacting her than when you were constantly in her inbox. This tactic is so effective because it forces her to confront her feelings. Even if she wasn't initially interested, the space you've created will make her question her previous disinterest. You pulled the rug out from under her expectations, and now she's left trying to understand why she misses the attention she once took for granted. She'll wonder if she misread your signals or if she's the one who's no longer in control of the situation. The longer you maintain this distance, the more intense her feelings will become. Absence truly makes the heart grow fonder, and in this case, it will make her miss you, even if she wasn't particularly into you before. This silence becomes a challenge, a puzzle she feels compelled to solve. And in her effort to figure out why you've gone quiet, she'll find herself thinking about you far more than she ever did when you were readily available. Another aspect to consider is how this impacts your image in her mind. When you're not constantly seeking her attention, you exude confidence and self-assurance, qualities that are undeniably attractive. You're not needy or desperate for her validation, and that makes you stand out from the majority of men who can't seem to stop texting. By withholding your presence, you show her that you're a man who values his time and doesn't need constant engagement to feel validated. This air of independence is incredibly powerful. The Stoics believed in letting go of the need for external validation and instead focusing on inner strength and self-control. By not contacting her, you're practicing this very principle. You're demonstrating emotional discipline and self-respect. You're not allowing your need for connection to drive your behavior, and that restraint is incredibly attractive to women. It shows that you're in control, that you have your own life, and that you don't need her to feel complete. Of course, this doesn't mean ignoring her forever. At some point, she'll reach out, curious as to why you've disappeared. And when she does, you shifted the dynamic. Now, she's the one initiating contact, and that gives you the upper hand. You've successfully created a situation where she misses you, even if she didn't initially care, and now she's more invested in the interaction than before. In conclusion, don't underestimate the power of silence. By not contacting her, you create a space that allows her to reflect on her feelings and realize what she's missing. You're no longer just a guy she talks to, you become the guy she's thinking about. And that's the first step in making her miss you badly, even if she wasn't interested at first. Chapter 2. Show her you're still living your life. One of the most critical things to do when trying to make a woman miss you is to show her that you're still living your life without her. The moment you stop chasing her and instead focus on your own goals, passions, and social life, she'll start to notice. Women are drawn to men who have a purpose, who are active and engaged in their own lives. When you show that you're fulfilled without her, she'll begin to wonder what's keeping you so busy. This creates a sense of mystery and intrigue, which, in turn, makes her miss you more. Think about the Stoics, especially someone like Marcus Aurelius. Despite being a Roman emperor, one of the most powerful men in the world, he emphasized the importance of focusing on your own journey, regardless of external influences. In modern terms, this means not putting your life on hold for anyone, especially not a woman. When you stop revolving your actions around her and invest in yourself, your career, your hobbies, your friendships, you send a powerful message: I don't need you to complete me. My life is already full. Imagine this: while she's busy wondering why you haven't texted or called, she checks your social media and sees that you're out having fun with friends, working out, or pursuing your ambitions. You're not sitting around waiting for her to throw breadcrumbs of attention your way. You're too focused on building yourself into a better version of who you were yesterday. This approach hits deep because it taps into one of the most primal fears women have: being replaced or forgotten. When she sees that your life hasn't stopped because she's not around, she starts to feel the pressure. You're making her realize that you're perfectly fine without her, and this realization is often a bitter pill to swallow. The fear of missing out, the anxiety of being forgotten, and the thought that you might move on to someone else becomes real to her. Here's where many men get it wrong. They think that by cutting contact and showing they're living their life, they need to rub it in her face. But that's not how you play the game. Don't go overboard with boasting or flaunting your lifestyle. Keep it subtle. Post pictures of you hanging out with friends, enjoying a new hobby, or even just relaxing with a good book. Let her see glimpses of your life without her, and it'll start to gnaw at her. The more she sees you thriving, the more she'll want to be a part of it. The best part? This tactic works whether she was interested in you initially or not. Even if she wasn't attracted to you before, seeing you live a fulfilling, independent life sparks a new kind of curiosity. She starts to wonder why you're so content without her. Why are you not chasing after her like every other guy? Why are you so at peace with yourself? And in trying to answer these questions, she'll find herself thinking about you more and more. The Stoics believed in the power of inner fulfillment, and this is what you're demonstrating when you show her that you're living your life. By not being desperate for her attention, you prove that your happiness doesn't depend on her. This makes you incredibly attractive, as it goes against the grain of what most women are used to. They're used to men clamoring for their attention, trying to impress them, and altering their lives just to get a moment of their time. You, on the other hand, are showing that your time is valuable and that your life is rich with or without her in it. The key here is consistency. You can't just act like you're living your life for a few days and then fall back into the trap of chasing her. You have to fully embrace this mindset because it's not just a tactic, it's a lifestyle. Once you truly internalize this idea of self-sufficiency, it will become second nature, and she'll sense that you're genuinely content. That's when the tables turn, and she starts to feel the distance between you. When she reaches out, and she will, eventually, you'll be in a position of strength. You won't need to drop everything to respond to her. You've already shown her that your life is moving forward, with or without her attention. And the longer she watches you thrive from a distance, the more she'll start to miss you. Even if she didn't care before, she'll begin to feel a sense of loss, because she knows that you're living a life that doesn't revolve around her. And that's a powerful thing. In the end, showing her that you're still living your life is one of the most effective ways to make her miss you. You're not just sitting around, waiting for her to text back, you're out there, building your own empire. And as the Stoics would remind us, true strength comes from within, not from external validation. When you embody that, she'll feel it, and she'll miss you. Chapter 3. Don't give in to the attention bait. Women are masters at subtly seeking attention. Whether it's a strategically placed social media post or a casual text that seems innocent, these little actions are often designed to draw you back in. But here's the Stoic secret: the more you resist this bait, the more power you have over the dynamic. When a woman is accustomed to men responding to her every little move, it becomes a game to her, one that she feels she can easily control. However, when you don't react, when you refuse to give her the validation she's fishing for, she starts to realize that she doesn't control you, and that's when she begins to miss you. It's important to understand that it's human nature to desire what we can't have. Women, like men, are wired this way. When you don't take the bait, when you maintain your emotional discipline and stay cool, calm, and collected, you shift the power dynamic. Suddenly, she's forced to reevaluate her understanding of you. Why isn't he reacting like all the other guys? Why isn't he falling into the trap of seeking my approval or validation? This creates a sense of mystery around you, or a challenge she becomes eager to figure out. The Stoics preached about not being swayed by external forces, and this situation is a modern reflection of that wisdom. When she posts a picture designed to get your attention, or sends a casual text to test the waters, don't rush to respond. In fact, don't respond at all, at least not immediately. Let her wonder. Let her mind wander and overanalyze the silence. The more time that passes without you reacting, the more she'll begin to question what's going on, and that's precisely when she starts missing you. Most men fall into the trap of constantly seeking validation from women. They're always chasing after that little crumb of attention, eagerly responding to every message or post. But when you ignore her bait, you're flipping the script entirely. Now, she's the one left craving validation from you. She starts to wonder if you've lost interest, if you've moved on, or worse, if you've found someone else. This uncertainty begins to gnaw at her, making her think about you more often than she probably expected to. Think about it this way: by resisting her attention-seeking tactics, you're teaching her a valuable lesson in scarcity. If she realizes that she can't have you at her beck and call, she'll start to value your time and attention much more. The Stoics understood the importance of not giving in to impulses, especially those designed to control your emotions. By practicing restraint, you're not only preserving your own emotional energy, but you're also making her see that you're not like everyone else who fawns over her. She might not even realize she's trying to bait you, but that doesn't make the tactic any less real. It could be a selfie with friends at a party, or a text saying something like, "Just thought of you," or "Missed your face today." While these may seem innocuous on the surface, they're subtle hooks designed to gauge your interest. By responding right away or too eagerly, you're handing over your power and showing her that you're available at her command. But when you hold back, something incredible happens. her curiosity grows. She'll start thinking about why you didn't respond or why you didn't acknowledge that selfie. What's going on in your life that's more important than giving her attention? Is there someone else occupying your thoughts? These questions will run through her mind, and before she realizes it, she's thinking about you constantly. And when someone is thinking about you, they begin to miss you, even if they didn't have strong feelings before. This method of holding back may feel uncomfortable at first. After all, it's natural to want to reciprocate attention when it's given. But the Stoics would argue that the ability to resist temptation, to control your impulses, is a sign of strength and self-mastery. By not giving in to the attention bait, you're showing her and yourself that you are not someone who can be easily manipulated or swayed. You're in control of your emotions and your actions, and that's a rare quality. The beauty of this strategy is that it works on a subconscious level. She might not realize why she's suddenly thinking about you more, but it's happening because you're not feeding into the cycle of constant validation. You've created a gap, a silence, and in that space, her mind starts to fill in the blanks. And the longer you hold back, the more powerful that effect becomes. Eventually, she'll find herself reaching out more, trying harder to get your attention. The roles have reversed, and now you're the one in control of the dynamic. And all it took was a bit of emotional discipline, something the Stoics excelled at. So, the next time you receive one of those seemingly innocent attention-baiting texts or social media posts, remember, the more you resist, the more she'll miss you. This is not about playing games, but about practicing restraint and letting her realize your value through your absence. She'll start to wonder why she hasn't heard from you, and that's when you'll know you're in her head. She'll miss the attention, miss your presence, and eventually miss you entirely. Chapter 4. Don't be eager, be vague. When the time comes for you to make contact, it's essential that you don't act eager or overexcited. In fact, the less eager you appear, the better. This is where the power of being vague really comes into play. Don't rush to share every detail about what you've been doing, who you've been with, or what's been happening in your life. Instead, keep things mysterious and elusive. Why? Because people, especially women, are naturally drawn to what they don't fully understand. It's a psychological hook. When you leave things unsaid, she's more likely to fill in the blanks with her own imagination, often creating an idealized version of you in her mind. The Stoics, in their infinite wisdom, believed that control over one's words was a mark of true strength. They were masters of silence and minimalism, understanding that not every thought or emotion needs to be expressed. This principle can be applied here. When you do finally talk to her, give her just enough information to keep her intrigued, but not so much that she feels like she has you figured out. Being vague allows you to maintain an air of mystery, which can make you incredibly alluring. Let's say she asks what you've been up to. Instead of giving her a detailed rundown of your weekend, simply say something like, "Oh, just keeping busy," and then shift the conversation. By doing this, you leave a gap in her mind. She'll start wondering, what's he been doing? Who's he been with? That curiosity will linger long after the conversation is over, making her think about you more than she would if you'd given her all the answers. It's that desire to know more that often leads to deeper interest, and eventually, to missing you. Being vague doesn't mean being cold or dismissive, it means controlling the flow of information. You want to give her just enough to keep her engaged, but never enough that she feels completely satisfied. Think of it like offering a small taste of something delicious. She'll want the full meal, but you're keeping her in suspense. And in that suspense, she'll start to miss you, even if she didn't think she cared all that much before. It's important to remember that eagerness can be a turn-off. When you're overly excited to talk to her or share every aspect of your life, it signals that you're seeking her approval, that you need her attention. This can come across as desperate or insecure, which is the exact opposite of what you want. By being vague and keeping your cards close to your chest, you demonstrate that you're in control not just of the conversation, but of your emotions and your life as a whole. You're not seeking validation from her, and that's incredibly attractive. The Stoics would have viewed this restraint as an extension of their philosophy of self-control. They knew that true power comes from within, from the ability to govern one's own desires and impulses. By not rushing to share everything, you're showing that you have this inner strength, that you don't need external validation to feel good about yourself. And this is exactly what will make her miss you. She'll see that you're not like other guys who are desperate for her attention. You're different, you're in control, you're self-assured, and most importantly, you're mysterious. When she starts thinking about you in this way, a desire for you will grow. She'll want to know more about you, to uncover the parts of your life that you're keeping hidden. And as she spends more time thinking about you, wondering what you're up to, she'll start to miss you. Even if she wasn't particularly interested in you before, this sense of mystery will make her feel drawn to you. She'll start imagining what her life could be like with someone as intriguing and composed as you, and that's when you've truly captured her attention. Chapter 5. Create jealousy. Jealousy is one of the most powerful emotions when it comes to relationships, and while it's not about playing mind games, a little bit of jealousy can go a long way in making a woman miss you. This doesn't mean you should go out of your way to make her feel insecure or inferior, but rather that you should let her see that she's not the only person in your life. When a woman realizes that she's not your sole focus, it triggers a sense of competition and makes her desire you even more. Women, whether they admit it or not, have a natural instinct to compete for the attention of high-value men. When she sees that other women, or even just other people in general, value your time and enjoy being around you, it makes her realize that she's not your entire world. And this is crucial because when she feels like she's competing for your attention, she's going to want you more. It's basic human psychology. People value what's scarce. When you make your time and attention less available, she'll start to realize just how valuable it is. The Stoics were all about emotional indifference, not allowing external factors, like the opinions or actions of others, to control their inner peace. In this context, creating a little jealousy is not about being manipulative or playing games. It's about showing that you're indifferent to her approval. You have your own life, your own circle, and you're not waiting around for her to give you validation. When she sees that you're living your life without her, and that other people are drawn to you, she'll start to feel a sense of urgency. She'll wonder, what am I missing out on? Why aren't I getting his attention? You can create this sense of jealousy in subtle ways. Mention in passing that you've been spending time with friends or that you've been on an adventure without going into too much detail. If she asks more questions, keep your answers vague, as we discussed earlier. The key here is to make her realize that your world doesn't revolve around her. When she sees that other people are part of your life, especially other women, it sparks that competitive instinct, and she'll start working harder to gain your attention. This tactic taps into something primal. Women want to feel special, to feel like they're the ones who have your attention above all others. But when they see that your attention is not guaranteed, that they might lose you to someone else, it creates a powerful emotional reaction. She'll start thinking about you more often, wondering why you're not focused on her, and in doing so, she'll begin to miss you. The Stoics believed that emotional detachment was the key to maintaining inner peace. By not obsessing over any one person or outcome, they were able to stay grounded and in control. In your case, by not being overly eager or available, and by allowing a little jealousy to creep in, you're practicing that same emotional detachment. You're showing that you're not desperate for her approval or attention, and that's what will make her want you even more. It's important to note that jealousy should be created in a healthy, respectful way. This isn't about manipulating her emotions or making her feel bad. It's about showing her that you're a man with options, a man who values himself and his time. When she realizes that you're not waiting around for her, that other people find you attractive and interesting, she'll start to see you in a new light. And that's when she'll miss you, because she'll realize that she's not the only one vying for your attention, and she'll want to win it more than ever. By creating a little healthy competition, you're making yourself more desirable. You're showing that you're not easily won over, and that's exactly what will make her miss you, even if she wasn't initially interested. The Stoics knew the power of scarcity and emotional independence, and by practicing these principles, you'll find that women will naturally start to miss you without you having to lift a finger. Chapter 6. Nickname her. Nicknames may seem trivial, but they carry an incredible amount of psychological weight. When you give a woman a unique nickname, you're creating a personal connection that no one else shares with her. It's a subtle form of intimacy that doesn't require grand gestures, but works deeply in her subconscious. The Stoics understood that relationships are built on personal bonds, and using a special nickname is a quiet way to show that you see her in a way no one else does. Why does this make her miss you? Because every time she hears that nickname, whether it's from you or someone else, it will remind her of you. The name becomes associated with the emotional connection the two of you share. It's almost as if you've created a private language that only the two of you speak, and once you've called back and created distance, she'll miss that special connection. She'll start to realize that no one else has the kind of rapport with her, and that thought alone will make her miss the time she spent with you. But here's the twist: when you give her a nickname, don't overuse it. The power of a nickname comes from its rarity. If you call her by this nickname constantly, it loses its charm and impact. Instead, drop it casually and sporadically, letting her feel the weight of it when it's said. The more strategic you're with when and how you use it, the more it sticks in her mind. She'll come to associate the nickname with the connection you have, and she'll long to hear it again when you're not around. There's a subtle psychological trick in play here. By using a nickname, you're marking her as someone who is part of your inner circle. You've claimed a small piece of her identity in a way that's unique to your relationship. And when you withdraw and stop using it for a while, she'll start to miss that feeling of being singled out, of having a special bond with you that no one else can replicate. This tactic can be especially powerful when combined with the silence you've created by not contacting her. She's already missing your attention, but now she's also missing the nickname that made her feel special. Even if she wasn't interested in you before, the nickname adds a layer of emotional depth to your relationship. It makes her realize that there's something about you she can't get anywhere else, and that realization will gnaw at her, making her miss you more than she ever thought possible. The Stoics knew the power of words, and they believed in using them sparingly and wisely. A well-chosen nickname is a perfect example of this. It's a small thing, but when used correctly, it can create an emotional bond that's hard to break. And when you combine that bond with your newfound emotional detachment, you set the stage for her to miss you on a much deeper level. Remember, it's not about being manipulative, it's about creating a connection that she values. And once she feels that connection, even in your absence, she'll miss the emotional intimacy that nickname represents. Chapter 7. Teach her something new. One of the most effective ways to make a lasting impact on a woman, especially if she's not initially interested, is to teach her something new. It could be anything, a skill, a new way of thinking, or even introducing her to a book, hobby, or philosophy she's never considered before. When you become the person who opens her mind to new ideas and experiences, you leave a mark that lingers long after you've stopped contacting her. The Stoics believed that the path to growth and enlightenment comes from learning and self-improvement, and you can embody this principle by becoming her teacher in some way. Why does this work so well? Because learning something from someone creates a bond. People naturally feel a connection to those who've taught them something valuable, whether it's practical or emotional. When you're the person who introduces her to new perspectives, you become memorable. She'll associate that new experience or knowledge with you, and even when you're not around, she'll think of you every time she uses that skill or remembers that idea. But there's more to it than just teaching her something useful. It's also about challenging her to think differently. Women appreciate men who can stimulate their minds as much as their emotions. By encouraging her to look at the world through a new lens, you elevate yourself above the typical guys she encounters. You're not just another person texting her compliments or asking her out. You're someone who enriches her life, who makes her think, and who adds value in ways she didn't expect. Imagine you teach her something as simple as a new cooking technique, or you introduce her to Stoic philosophy itself. Every time she cooks that dish or reads a quote from Marcus Aurelius, she'll think of you. The learning process becomes tied to her memories of you, and those memories will keep resurfacing, making her miss you more than if you had simply been another guy chasing her for attention. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Once you've taught her something, you call back. You don't hover over her, constantly checking in to see if she's practicing what you've taught her. You let her absorb it on her own. The Stoics were all about self-reliance, and by giving her the tools to learn something new and then stepping back, you're showing her that you trust her to grow independently. This creates a sense of respect and admiration for you. She'll miss your presence because you've become a key figure in her personal development, not just someone who's looking for validation. The final twist in this tactic is the emotional bond that forms from shared experiences. When you teach her something, you're creating a moment that belongs only to the two of you. Even if she tries to push you out of her mind, she'll keep coming back to that moment, remembering how you made her feel, both challenged and enlightened. And that's a feeling she won't easily forget. The Stoics knew that real strength comes from within, and when you teach a woman something new, you're helping her build that inner strength. But at the same time, you're ensuring that you remain a part of her journey, even when you're not physically or emotionally present. That's the key to making her miss you. Even if she wasn't initially interested, you've made yourself irreplaceable in her growth and learning. By not contacting her, showing her that you're living your life, resisting her attention bait, being vague, creating jealousy, using nicknames, and teaching her something new, you're practicing the art of Stoic detachment while still making her think about you constantly. You're not chasing after her, you're drawing her to you by being the kind of man who is in control of his emotions, his time, and his life. These 7 tactics aren't about manipulation, they're about understanding human psychology and using it to your advantage. The Stoics mastered this, and you can too. When you embody these principles, you'll find that even women who weren't initially interested will start to miss you. They'll miss the attention, the mystery, and the value you bring to their lives. And that's the power of Stoic attraction. Welcome to this episode where we explore a deep and provocative topic that is often misunderstood by most men: what women truly dream of in the bedroom. The Stoics, masters of human psychology, were more than philosophers. They had a profound understanding of the dynamics between men and women. They taught that true wisdom comes from understanding not just yourself, but also those around you. Today, we'll delve into how their timeless principles can transform your intimate life. Stick with me till the end of this episode, as I'll be covering 7 powerful insights that will open your eyes to what women secretly crave when it comes to physical intimacy. These aren't just surface-level tips, they are rooted in the idea of emotional depth, connection, and mastering your own desires. If you enjoy this episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or even stories about how Stoicism has influenced your relationships. Let's jump into the first chapter. Chapter 1. Make some noise. One of the most overlooked elements of sexual intimacy is vocal feedback. Believe it or not, women are highly responsive to sound, especially during intimate moments. While society often expects men to remain stoic and silent during sex, the The truth is that vocal feedback is incredibly important. It's not just about words, but moans, breaths, and other sounds that communicate your pleasure and desire. Sex is not just a physical act, it's an emotional and psychological experience. Women want to feel connected, and sound plays a huge role in creating that connection. By making noise during sex, you're offering her a deeper sense of emotional engagement. Your vocal responses are affirmations that she is fulfilling her role, which is a powerful motivator for her. Women crave the sense of being desired and appreciated in the moment. It reassures them that they are providing pleasure, which can enhance their own experience as well. Think about it this way. How can a woman know she's driving you wild if you remain quiet? Women are highly perceptive, but they're not mind readers. When you remain silent or muted, you're leaving her in the dark, making her guess whether or not you're actually enjoying the experience. Vocal feedback bridges that gap. It gives her a direct window into your pleasure, allowing her to adjust, improve, and feel more connected to you. Whether it's a deep groan or a sharp inhale of breath, every sound you make during sex is a subtle signal of your satisfaction. Women crave validation of their efforts in bed, and hearing you express your enjoyment acts as that validation. Just like men, women want to know they're desired and appreciated. It's easy to assume that women are always confident in their sexual skills, but the truth is that many women, just like men, can have insecurities in the bedroom. A simple moan, whisper, or gasp can have a powerful effect, making her feel secure and confident in her own sexuality. By being vocal, you're lifting her confidence and making the entire experience better for both of you. From a Stoic perspective, this is about being present in the moment. The Stoics emphasized the importance of living fully in the present, not being trapped by past or future concerns. They spoke about the power of now and how engaging fully in the present allows you to experience life's true pleasures. By making noise, you're embracing the moment of passion fully, letting go of inhibitions and showing her that you're truly engaged in the experience. You're not thinking about how you'll be perceived or what's next. You're there with her in that moment, and she can feel that. On a deeper level, vocal feedback is an act of emotional vulnerability. Many men are conditioned to suppress their emotions, even in intimate settings. But Stoicism doesn't equate emotional restraint with silence in moments of passion. The Stoics didn't shy away from vulnerability, they saw it as a sign of strength. By allowing yourself to be expressive and vocal during sex, you're communicating that you're comfortable with your own desires and that you're confident enough to let her hear them. That kind of raw honesty is what women dream of but often don't get. For many women, a man's emotional vulnerability during sex is just as important as his physical prowess. They want to see and hear that you're fully invested in the moment, that you're enjoying them on every level. By being vocal, you're building trust and creating an emotional bridge that will make the connection stronger, not just in that moment, but in your overall relationship. Beyond just expressing pleasure, vocal cues can also guide and direct the flow of your sexual experience. If something feels particularly good, let her know. If you're approaching your climax, let her hear the changes in your breathing or the intensity of your moans. This gives her real-time feedback and allows both of you to adjust and build toward a more synchronized experience. So next time, don't hold back. Let her know, through sound, exactly how much you're enjoying her. Whether it's a soft moan of appreciation, a whisper in her ear, or a deep groan of satisfaction, your vocal feedback will make her feel wanted, appreciated, and in control. Women want to feel that they're not just fulfilling their own desires, but yours as well. When you express that through sound, you're giving her the reassurance that she's doing just that. In conclusion, remember that making noise in bed isn't just about pleasure, it's about creating a deeper emotional and psychological connection. Women dream of this kind of validation because it reassures them that they are fulfilling their partner's desires. By expressing your pleasure vocally, you're building a stronger, more intimate bond and helping both of you reach new heights of satisfaction. The Stoics might have been known for their composed nature, but even they would agree, when it comes to passion, silence isn't always golden. Chapter 2. Her pleasure first. In the realm of sexual intimacy, one of the most critical yet often overlooked aspects is prioritizing her pleasure. Many men, knowingly or unknowingly, approach sex with the goal of satisfying their own desires first, thinking that their climax is the grand finale of the experience. But here's a secret most men miss. Women dream of being with a partner who is genuinely invested in their pleasure, someone who sees her climax not as an afterthought, but as the main event. The Stoics mastered the art of control and self-restraint. They believed in putting the needs of others before personal gratification, especially when doing so leads to a greater good. In the context of intimacy, this means placing her needs at the forefront of the experience. The man who focuses on her pleasure first demonstrates not only emotional intelligence, but also a deep understanding of the give and take that forms the foundation of any intimate relationship. Many men rush toward their own climax without fully engaging with their partner's desires, leaving her unsatisfied or emotionally disconnected. Women crave the experience of being desired and prioritized in bed, and when a man takes the time to focus on her pleasure, it creates a sense of deep fulfillment that resonates far beyond the bedroom. It shows that you're not just there for your own satisfaction, but are invested in her enjoyment as well. This approach requires self-control and patience, qualities that the Stoics held in high regard. By holding off on your own climax and dedicating your energy to ensuring her satisfaction, you're practicing a form of delayed gratification that makes the experience infinitely more rewarding for both parties. Women appreciate a man who can control his impulses, extending the experience to give her the time and attention she deserves. Her pleasure becomes your mission, and once she realizes that you're committed to this, her connection to you will grow stronger. Beyond just physical satisfaction, focusing on her climax builds emotional intimacy. A woman who feels valued and prioritized in bed will naturally feel more connected to her partner. She'll appreciate that you're tuned into her needs and desires, which deepens the bond between you. This kind of emotional investment is rare, and when you provide it, you set yourself apart from the vast majority of men. Furthermore, prioritizing her pleasure isn't just about focusing on her climax, it's about the journey you take her on. Women don't just want quick, rushed sex. They want the build-up, the tension, the excitement of knowing that their pleasure is at the forefront of your mind. By slowing down and fully immersing yourself in her satisfaction, you create a much more intense and fulfilling experience. It's not about rushing toward the finish line, it's about savoring the moment and making sure she enjoys every second of it. In addition, taking your time with her pleasure also leads to better communication in bed. When you're focused on her needs, you become more attuned to her body language, her subtle cues, and the sounds she makes. This helps you understand what she likes and what she doesn't, allowing you to adapt and improve your technique over time. When a woman knows that you're actively paying attention to her responses, she'll feel more confident, more open, and more willing to express herself sexually. Ultimately, the man who puts her pleasure first stands out. Women dream of being with a partner who is not selfish in bed, someone who is willing to take the time to explore, discover, and fulfill their desires. By embracing the Stoic principles of patience, restraint, and control, you become that man, and in doing so, you create a sexual experience that is both deeply satisfying and emotionally enriching. Chapter 3. Foreplay and Afterplay. If there's one thing that sets apart an ordinary sexual encounter from an extraordinary one, it's the emphasis on foreplay and afterplay. For many women, intimacy isn't just about the act of sex itself, it's about everything that happens before and after. Foreplay and afterplay are crucial for creating a deeper connection, building anticipation, and ensuring that the sexual experience lingers long after the physical act is over. Let's start with foreplay. Women are wired differently than men when it comes to arousal. While men can become aroused relatively quickly, women typically need more time and stimulation to reach the same level of excitement. Foreplay is essential in helping her body and mind become fully engaged in the experience. Rushing into sex without proper foreplay is like starting a movie halfway through. You miss all the build-up, the tension, the excitement that makes the climax so much more satisfying. From a Stoic perspective, foreplay is about preparation and mindfulness. The Stoics believed in taking the time to approach situations thoughtfully and with intention. In the same way, foreplay should be approached with care, patience, and focus. Instead of treating it as something you rush through, see it as an opportunity to connect with her on a deeper level. Touch, kiss, whisper, use all your senses to explore her body and mind, and make her feel desired in every possible way. Foreplay isn't just about physical stimulation, though. It's about building emotional intimacy. Women respond to how they feel emotionally, and when you invest in foreplay, you're showing her that you value her pleasure and comfort just as much as your own. A well-thought-out foreplay session can make her feel more connected to you, more relaxed, and more eager for what's to come. Now let's talk about afterplay, which is just as important but often overlooked. Afterplay is the period of intimacy that follows sex, and it's vital for strengthening the emotional bond between partners. While many men tend to roll over or check out after sex, women appreciate a man who stays present and engaged. Holding her, talking, and sharing a moment of tenderness afterward can make her feel cherished and respected. The Stoics would say that afterplay is a chance to reflect. It's an opportunity to enjoy the moment of satisfaction and fulfillment, to appreciate the connection you've built together. Afterplay doesn't have to be complicated, it's about simply being present with her, letting her know that the intimacy doesn't end when the sex does. By investing time in both foreplay and afterplay, you're creating a more holistic sexual experience. Women don't just dream of great sex, they dream of feeling connected, valued, and appreciated before, during, and after the act. When you make foreplay and afterplay a priority, you're showing her that you're a man who understands the importance of emotional and physical intimacy in equal measure. Chapter 4. Guide her. Women often secretly crave a man who is willing to take charge in the bedroom, but it's important to understand what that really means. Taking charge doesn't equate to being domineering or forceful. It's about guiding her, leading the experience, and showing a quiet confidence in your actions. Stoicism teaches control, self-assurance, and emotional stability, all of which are incredibly attractive qualities in a sexual partner. A man who knows what he wants, who is willing to guide the experience with a sense of purpose and presence, is someone who will leave a lasting impression long after the encounter is over. Many men fall into the trap of being too passive in bed, waiting for their partner to take the lead, or constantly seeking approval. They're hesitant, unsure, and afraid to make a wrong move. But here's the truth: women want a man who is confident enough to take the lead without constantly second-guessing himself. They don't want to be the one making all the decisions or guiding every move. Women dream of a man who can confidently take control, set the tone, and create an atmosphere where both partners can lose themselves in the experience. Being the one to guide her doesn't mean ignoring her desires or being selfish. Quite the opposite, it's about paying attention to her needs and responses, and using that information to guide her in a way that makes her feel safe, desired, and completely engaged. Think of it as taking the reins of the situation while being fully tuned into her emotional and physical cues. The best kind of leadership is one that's intuitive, responsive, and caring, where you're setting the tone but still allowing her the space to express herself and feel empowered. Taking charge in the bedroom doesn't have to be complicated. It's often about small, subtle gestures that show confidence and control. Be the one to initiate changes in positions, guide her with your hands, or even maintain strong eye contact that clearly communicates your desire. These little acts of leadership are what make her feel like she's in the hands of someone who knows what they're doing. Confidence is key when a woman senses that you're in control, not in an overbearing way, but in a way that makes her feel safe, excited, and cherished. It heightens the entire experience for both of you. From a Stoic perspective, this confidence comes from self-mastery. The Stoics believed in being in control of one's own emotions and actions, and that sense of mastery is something women find incredibly attractive. When you take charge, you're showing her that you're a man who is deeply connected to his desires and knows how to direct them in a way that benefits both partners. You're not fumbling or hesitating, you're leading with purpose. This kind of leadership in the bedroom is a rare dynamic that many women dream of but rarely experience, and when they do, it's unforgettable. Of course, guiding her doesn't mean ignoring her wants or needs. The best leaders, even in intimate situations, are those who remain deeply connected to the people they are guiding. This means paying close attention to her body language, her breathing, and her vocal responses. When you're attuned to her reactions, you can adjust your approach to maximize her pleasure. You're not just dictating the experience, you're leading her in a way that makes her feel deeply involved. Confidence and sensitivity should go hand in hand. Show her that you're the one in control, but also make it clear that her pleasure and satisfaction are at the forefront of your mind. One of the secrets to guiding her is to be fully present in the moment. When you're truly in the moment, you'll notice the little things, the way her body moves, the sounds she makes, and the subtle changes in her breathing. These are the cues you'll use to lead her. It's not about rushing to the finish line, it's about enjoying every moment of the journey and bringing her along with you. When you show her that you're not only taking charge, but are also completely invested in making the experience as pleasurable as possible for her, you create an intimate connection that she'll remember long after the moment has passed. Ultimately, women want a man who is in control, but also deeply connected to their emotional and physical needs. They dream of someone who can take charge in the bedroom, but who also makes them feel safe, cherished, and desired. By embracing the Stoic qualities of confidence, self-mastery, and leadership, you can become the kind of man who provides this experience, a man who is both a lover and a guide, who knows when to lead and when to listen, and who can create a sense of safety and excitement all at once. That's the kind of experience she'll dream of long after the lights have gone out. Chapter 5. Kissing Matters. Kissing is one of the most intimate and powerful gestures during any sexual encounter, yet many men underestimate its importance. For women, kissing is not just a prelude to sex, it's an integral part of the experience itself. The way you kiss, how long you kiss, and the passion you put into it can set the tone for the entire experience. If you think of kissing as a mere warm-up, you are missing out on a powerful tool for creating deeper intimacy and sexual satisfaction. From a Stoic perspective, kissing can be seen as a way to stay fully present in the moment. The Stoics believed in living with intention and embracing each moment with full awareness. When you engage in kissing, especially deeply and passionately, you're immersing yourself in that moment, showing her that you're entirely focused on her. It's not just about physical pleasure, it's about connecting emotionally and showing her that she matters to you. Women crave men who are passionate kissers, and not just at the beginning of the encounter. A kiss can ignite desire, build anticipation, and create a strong emotional bond. But here's the catch. Women can tell when a man is just going through the motions versus when he's truly into it. A lazy, half-hearted kiss communicates a lack of interest and passion. On the other hand, a deep, meaningful kiss tells her that you are fully engaged, that you're present, and that you desire her deeply. The power of kissing isn't limited to foreplay either. Kissing during sex is one of the most intimate acts you can share. It creates a closeness and connection that transcends the physical act of intercourse. Many women fantasize about being kissed deeply during sex because it makes the experience feel more personal and emotionally charged. When you kiss her while being intimate, it shows that you're not just focused on the act itself, but on her as a whole person. In fact, many women dream of a partner who doesn't rush through or abandon kissing once things get more intense. Kissing throughout the experience keeps the connection alive. It tells her that you're in tune with her body, her emotions, and her desires. Women appreciate men who understand the power of a well-timed kiss, whether it's soft and slow or passionate and fiery. By engaging with her through kissing, you create a deeper bond that will leave a lasting impression. Kissing also offers a form of nonverbal communication that goes beyond words. The way you kiss can tell her everything she needs to know about how you feel in that moment. Are you tender? Are you hungry for her? Are you showing her that you're fully present? Each kiss is an opportunity to communicate your emotions and desires without saying a word, and women notice this subtle but powerful form of connection. Don't forget that kissing is an act that should be present not only before and during sex, but also after. Post-sex kissing, or afterplay, reinforces emotional intimacy and connection. It's a gesture that tells her the experience was about more than just physical pleasure, it was about creating something meaningful together. Women secretly long for that kind of attention, where the kissing doesn't end once the sex is over. By continuing to kiss her afterward, you show her that you value her, not just for her body, but for the connection you share. In the end, kissing is more than just a physical act, it's an emotional one. Women dream of partners who understand the depth of a kiss, who can use it to communicate passion, desire, and love. By being intentional with your kisses, you can transform an ordinary sexual encounter into something extraordinary, leaving her craving more of the emotional and physical connection you've created. Chapter 6: Eye Contact. One of the most powerful yet underused tools for creating deep sexual intimacy is eye contact. When done right, eye contact can elevate the entire sexual experience, transforming it from a purely physical encounter into a deeply emotional connection. Women dream of being with a partner who isn't afraid to look into their eyes during sex, who uses eye contact as a way to communicate desire, trust, and vulnerability. From a Stoic point of view, eye contact is about being fully present and embracing the moment without fear or distraction. The Stoics believed in facing life head-on, with courage and honesty, and in the bedroom, this translates into maintaining strong, confident eye contact. It shows that you're fully engaged, that you're not afraid of intimacy, and that you're connecting with her on a level beyond the physical. Eye contact during sex can be incredibly vulnerable, but that's exactly why it's so powerful. Women desire a partner who can meet their gaze during intimate moments, someone who isn't afraid to be seen and to see them in return. This kind of emotional vulnerability is rare, and when you provide it, you create an experience that feels deeply personal and unforgettable. Eye contact also helps to build trust. When a woman sees that you're looking into her eyes, not just at her body, it tells her that you're emotionally connected to her, not just physically. It's a way of saying, I'm here with you, and I see you for who you are. This can make her feel safe, cherished, and desired, which are all things that women crave in their sexual experiences. Another aspect of eye contact is that it can heighten sexual tension. When you maintain eye contact during moments of passion, it creates a powerful, magnetic energy that draws you both closer. Women dream of being with a man who can make them feel this level of intensity, where every glance and every look holds meaning. It's a form of silent communication, where a simple look can convey passion, desire, or even love. But eye contact isn't just about the climax, it should be present throughout the entire experience. From foreplay to afterplay, keeping eye contact can create a sense of continuity and connection. Whether you're kissing her, touching her, or making love to her, meeting her gaze shows that you're truly there with her, experiencing each moment together. This kind of attention is something that many women secretly long for but rarely get. For some men, maintaining eye contact during sex can feel intimidating, especially if they've been taught to focus on the physical aspects of the encounter. But here's the truth: women are emotional beings, and they crave emotional connection just as much, if not more, than physical pleasure. By looking into her eyes, you're acknowledging her emotions, her desires, and her need for connection. You're saying, without words, I'm here for you, and I'm with you. Finally, eye contact helps to create a sense of equality and mutual respect. When you look into her eyes, you're treating her as an equal partner in the experience, not just someone who is there to fulfill your desires. You're showing her that her pleasure, her emotions, and her presence matter to you, which is something that many women dream of but rarely find in a partner. So, the next time you're in the bedroom, don't shy away from her gaze. Hold her eyes, let her see you, and show her that you are fully present. This small act can transform the sexual experience, turning it into something far more meaningful than just physical pleasure. Women dream of this kind of connection, and by mastering the art of eye contact, you become the kind of man who can provide it. Chapter 7. Keep it exciting. Nothing kills sexual desire faster than routine. Women dream of a partner who is willing to keep things exciting in the bedroom, someone who isn't afraid to explore new ideas, try new things, and keep the passion alive. Sexual spontaneity and creativity are key to maintaining a fulfilling and dynamic sexual relationship, and the man who embraces this is the one she'll always think about. The Stoics understood that life is about embracing change and novelty. They believed in constantly challenging oneself and exploring new ways to approach life's experiences. In the same way, your approach to intimacy should involve a willingness to experiment and adapt. Whether it's trying out a new position, introducing a new form of foreplay, or bringing in an element of surprise, keeping things fresh and exciting will make her feel like the sexual experience is always evolving. Women crave variety in the bedroom. While they might enjoy a certain rhythm or routine from time to time, they also long for spontaneity. When sex becomes predictable, it loses its spark. Women want a man who is confident enough to lead the way, but also creative enough to keep things interesting. This might mean exploring fantasies, role-playing, or simply switching up the location or timing of your encounters. The key is to maintain a sense of adventure. Women want to feel that their sexual relationship is full of potential and excitement, not something that's stagnant or routine. This doesn't mean you have to be wild every time, but it does mean being open to change and always looking for ways to enhance the experience. From small changes, like starting with a massage or using different kinds of touch, to larger explorations like trying out new fantasies together, keeping things fresh will make her feel constantly engaged. Another important aspect of keeping it exciting is paying attention to her fantasies and desires. Many women have unspoken fantasies or desires that they may feel too shy to bring up. By being open-minded and willing to explore new ideas, you show her that you care about fulfilling her desires, too. This level of attentiveness is what women dream of in a partner, someone who is tuned into their needs and eager to explore new territory together. Communication is key when it comes to exploring new ideas. Talk to her about what excites her, what she's curious about, and what turns her on. Creating a space where she feels safe and comfortable to express her desires is crucial for maintaining excitement in the relationship. Women dream of a partner who listens, understands, and is eager to explore their fantasies with them. Lastly, keeping things exciting requires effort. Many men fall into the trap of thinking that once they've established a sexual routine, they don't need to put in the same level of effort. But women want a man who continues to surprise them, who is constantly looking for ways to reignite the passion. Whether it's by being spontaneous, introducing new forms of foreplay, or simply putting in extra effort to make each encounter memorable, your willingness to go the extra mile will set you apart. At the end of the day, keeping it exciting in the bedroom is about more than just trying new things. it's about showing her that you're fully invested in maintaining a vibrant and passionate sexual relationship. Women dream of a partner who never lets the flame die out, who is always thinking about how to keep things exciting, and who makes every encounter feel fresh and new. By embracing the Stoic principle of constant growth and change, you become the kind of partner who keeps her on her toes, always wondering what new adventure you'll take her on next. That's the kind of experience she dreams of, and the one that will keep her coming back for more. So there you have it, 7 powerful ways to transform your sexual relationship by embracing the principles of Stoicism and understanding what women secretly dream of in the bedroom. From vocal feedback to eye contact, to keeping things exciting, each chapter has explored ways to elevate your connection, making it not only more pleasurable, but also deeply intimate. Remember, it's not about checking off a list of techniques, it's about fully embracing the moment, staying present, and being confident in your own desires while staying tuned into hers. When you can combine emotional vulnerability with strength, the Stoic mastery of self-control with genuine passion, you'll create experiences that women dream of but rarely get. If you found these insights helpful, make sure to like this video, subscribe for more provocative content, and drop a comment below sharing your experiences or thoughts on how these ideas resonate with you. Have you tried any of these strategies before? What has worked best in your relationships? Let's open up the conversation. And remember, this isn't just about making her dream of you in the bedroom, it's about creating a lasting, meaningful connection that goes beyond the physical. So take what you've learned here, apply it, and watch as it transforms not only your sex life, but your entire relationship. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Stay strong, stay stoic, and keep mastering the art of intimacy. For centuries, the Stoics mastered the art of self-control and emotional balance, applying their principles to every aspect of life, including relationships. They understood human psychology long before modern science gave it a name, especially the intricate dance of attraction. When a woman pulls away, many men panic, leading them to make critical mistakes that only push her further. But what if we approached this situation with Stoic calm, restraint, and understanding? In this episode, we'll dive deep into the 7 biggest mistakes 99% of men make when a woman pulls away, and more importantly, how you can avoid them. Remember, this isn't about manipulation or games, but about embracing emotional strength and wisdom. Watch this video until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own stories in the comments if you've faced similar challenges. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. Don't simp, it's not the answer. The first, and perhaps the most common, mistake men make when a woman pulls away is simping. It's a term that's become popular in modern dating culture, and it refers to excessive attention or subservience in the hopes of winning her favor. When a guy senses that she's losing interest or pulling back, his knee-jerk reaction is often to shower her with compliments, gifts, and non-stop attention. The problem? This behavior doesn't come across as caring or romantic, it screams desperation and neediness, which is exactly the opposite of what she's looking for. From a Stoic perspective, this is a failure of self-control. The Stoics preached restraint and measured action, avoiding extremes and impulses that arise from fear. When a woman begins to pull away, many men react out of fear, the fear of losing her. This panic-driven response causes them to overcompensate with affection, thinking they can somehow fix the situation by doing more. However, the truth is, the more you cling to her, the more she will instinctively want to distance herself. Why? Because your neediness devalues your worth. By acting this way, you're signaling to her that her approval and validation matter more to you than your own self-respect. You are, in essence, putting her on a pedestal while simultaneously diminishing your own value. The Stoics would never approve of such behavior because it represents a loss of emotional balance. Instead, they would advise you to remain calm, grounded, and steady in the face of uncertainty. When she pulls away, don't let it rattle you. Stay centered in who you are. The more secure you are in yourself, the more attractive you become. Confidence, not desperation, is what draws women in. She'll respect your ability to stand firm and maintain composure, even when the relationship feels uncertain or threatened. And this calm self-assurance is something she will find deeply compelling, especially in a moment when most men would lose control. Here's where most men go wrong. They believe that by doing more, texting more, calling more, planning extravagant dates, they can somehow reverse the growing distance between them and the woman. What they don't realize is that this behavior is actually reinforcing the gap. Women don't want a man who's too eager to please, and they definitely don't want a man who's willing to sacrifice his own dignity in the process. They're drawn to men who are confident enough in their own value that they don't need to chase relentlessly. Chasing conveys insecurity and a lack of self-worth. Think about it in terms of supply and demand. When something becomes too readily available, its perceived value drops. If you're always available, always responding immediately, always lavishing her with attention, she will start to take you for granted. But if you pull back, maintain your distance, and let her come to you, she will begin to see you as more valuable. This dynamic plays into the concept of scarcity. A man who knows his worth doesn't overextend himself for anyone. He allows space for the woman to appreciate him rather than smothering her with attention. Women, just like men, are drawn to mystery and challenge. The moment you start simping, offering her everything on a silver platter, you've eliminated any challenge. There's no mystery, no intrigue, no chase left for her to enjoy. By simping, you're doing her emotional work for her, and in turn, she loses interest. The chase is a natural part of attraction, and when you take that away by throwing yourself at her feet, you become less attractive. Instead, practice emotional discipline. Don't rush to fill the gap when she pulls away. Let her miss your presence. Let her feel the absence of your attention. When she sees that you're not bending over backward to win her favor, it will intrigue her. She'll start to wonder why you're not reacting like other men do. She'll question whether she's misread you, and that curiosity can reignite her interest in you. In short, stop simping. The key to maintaining attraction, especially when she's pulling away, is to stand firm in your own value. Don't panic. Don't cling. Don't overwhelm her with attention in the hopes of pulling her back in. Show her that you're a man who doesn't need to chase. Show her that you're a man who is confident, composed, and in control of his emotions. In doing so, you'll set yourself apart from the 99% of men who make the mistake of simping when a woman pulls away. She'll respect you more, and she might just come running back, realizing that you're not the kind of man who can be easily swayed. The Stoics believed that true power lies in self-control, and in relationships, this couldn't be more true. If you want her to respect and value you, you must first respect and value yourself. Chapter 2. Don't confess in desperation. Timing is everything. When a woman pulls away, another common mistake men make is to suddenly spill their heart out in desperation. Feeling the distance, many guys believe that a grand, emotional confession will somehow reignite the spark and bring her back. They think that by laying it all on the line, By professing their undying love, she will realize how much she means to them and come running back. But the truth? This rarely works, and more often than not, it backfires spectacularly. The Stoics were masters of timing and restraint. They understood that emotions should not dictate actions. When you confess your feelings out of desperation, what you're really doing is seeking reassurance. You want her to close the gap, to eliminate the distance by responding positively to your emotional outpouring. But here's the problem: that kind of confession only works when it's made from a place of strength, not weakness. When you're confessing because you feel like you're losing her, it sends a clear message of insecurity. And insecurity is not attractive. When she pulls away, your instinct might be to chase her with your words, telling her how much you care, how much you miss her, and how you can't live without her. But that's not going to make her see your value. In fact, it does the opposite. It paints you as a man who is emotionally dependent on her, someone who is clinging to the relationship out of fear of being alone. The Stoics would caution against such impulsive displays of emotion. They would advise you to take a step back, assess the situation calmly, and allow things to unfold without trying to force a resolution. Here's the thing: timing is everything. If she's pulling away, it means she's already questioning the relationship or her attraction to you. Throwing a desperate confession at her only adds pressure, and when people feel pressured, their instinct is to retreat even further. It's basic human psychology. She doesn't want to feel overwhelmed by your emotions, especially if she's unsure about her own. By confessing at the wrong time, you're putting her in a position where she has to respond either by reciprocating feelings she might not fully have or by distancing herself even more to avoid hurting you. The better approach is to remain calm and composed. Just because she's pulling away doesn't mean she's gone forever. People need space sometimes to sort out their emotions, and by giving her that space, you're showing that you're confident in your own worth. The Stoics understood that you cannot control the actions or emotions of others, only your own. By maintaining your emotional balance, you're sending the message that you're a man who doesn't crumble under pressure, who doesn't feel the need to rush into emotional declarations out of fear. Think about it this way: if your confession is truly meaningful, it can wait. If your feelings are real and strong, they will stand the test of time. There's no need to spill them out in a moment of panic. When she's ready, when the time is right, those words will have far more impact. Confessions of love or strong feelings should come from a place of confidence, not desperation. If you express them too soon, especially when she's pulling away, it's likely to be met with rejection or discomfort. Instead of confessing, focus on yourself. Focus on maintaining your composure and showing her that you're not rattled by the distance she's creating. This is the ultimate power move. When she sees that you're not falling apart, that you're not trying to force her to stay by using your emotions as leverage, it will intrigue her. She'll wonder why you're so calm, why you're not reacting like other men. And that curiosity can work in your favor. The Stoics taught that true strength lies in restraint. Don't confess your feelings in a moment of emotional weakness. Hold back, be patient, and let things unfold naturally. By doing so, you'll come across as emotionally mature, secure, and infinitely more attractive than the guy who spills his heart out at the first sign of trouble. Let her come to you when she's ready. Chapter 3: Don't get angry, stay calm and collected. Anger is another common reaction when a woman pulls away. You've invested time and energy into the relationship, and now, without warning, she seems distant. It's natural to feel frustrated or hurt, but here's the key: anger is never the answer. Reacting with anger not only pushes her further away but also shows a lack of emotional control, something the Stoics would strongly advise against. The Stoics valued emotional discipline above all else. They believed that while emotions are inevitable, how you respond to them defines your character. When you get angry at a woman for pulling away, what you're really doing is letting her actions dictate your emotions. You're giving her power over your state of mind. And let's be clear, women are not attracted to men who lose control of their emotions, especially when things get tough. Think about it from her perspective. She's already pulling away, perhaps because she needs space or is questioning her feelings. If you respond with anger, what are you communicating? You're telling her that her actions control you, that you can't handle the uncertainty without lashing out. This doesn't make her feel closer to you, it makes her feel justified in pulling away. No one wants to be around someone who gets angry the moment things don't go their way. Instead of reacting with anger, respond with calmness. The Stoics believed in controlling the things within your power and accepting the things you cannot control. You can't control her actions or emotions, but you can control how you respond to them. By staying calm and collected, you're showing her that you're not shaken by her pulling away. You're showing her that you're a man who can handle emotional turbulence without losing your cool. Anger is a sign of weakness, not strength. It shows that you're insecure about the situation and that you're trying to force a reaction from her. The more you try to force her back through anger or frustration, the more you'll drive her away. But when you remain calm, when you show her that you're not fazed by her pulling away, you become infinitely more attractive. She'll see that you're not like other men who crumble under pressure, and that calmness will make her question her decision to pull away. In relationships, anger only serves to create more distance. By staying calm and maintaining your emotional control, you're showing her that you're strong enough to weather the storm without resorting to emotional outbursts. And that strength is something she'll respect and admire. The Stoics taught that power lies in self-mastery, and nowhere is this more true than in relationships. Chapter 4. Don't be apologetic, you're not at fault, and you don't owe her an apology. When a woman pulls away, many men fall into the trap of apologizing for things that they haven't done. They'll apologize for being too available, for not texting enough, for being too distant, for texting too much, or for being too close. This pattern of over-apologizing is rooted in insecurity and fear of losing her, but this is exactly the wrong approach. You're trying to fix something that isn't necessarily broken, and by doing so, you're reinforcing the very reason she's pulling away. Let's break this down. When you apologize excessively, especially for things you're not even sure you did wrong, you're signaling that her pulling away is your fault, and that's a massive mistake. Apologies are meant to be reserved for situations where you've genuinely done something wrong, not as a blanket reaction to tension in a relationship. By apologizing for her pulling away, you're implicitly telling her that you're willing to take responsibility for her emotions, and that is not only unnecessary, it's detrimental. The Stoics had a deep understanding of the importance of personal responsibility and accountability, but they also taught that you cannot control others' emotions or actions. Her pulling away is her choice, based on her own feelings, insecurities, or situations, and often has little to do with you. By apologizing, you're taking on the weight of her emotional state as if it's something you have caused, which shows a lack of self-confidence and an inability to separate your own feelings from hers. Women, like men, are attracted to strength, confidence, and certainty, and nothing projects weakness more than over-apologizing. It tells her that you're unsure of yourself, unsure of your value, and that you're desperate to win back her approval. Apologizing when you're not wrong can make her feel as if you're too easily swayed, and as if you're constantly looking for validation. This is the fastest way to lose her respect, and once respect is lost, attraction usually follows. Let's get practical here. If she's pulling away, the worst thing you can do is immediately start apologizing. It gives off a sense of guilt and responsibility that isn't yours to bear. Instead, take a step back and ask yourself if you've genuinely done something that warrants an apology. If not, hold your ground. By not apologizing, you're showing her that you respect yourself enough to stand firm in your actions and decisions. And that kind of self-assurance is attractive. Confidence is key. The more you demonstrate that you're not fazed by her emotional shifts, the more she'll see you as a stable force in her life. Apologizing unnecessarily only destabilizes that perception, making you seem insecure and emotionally dependent. But by staying calm and composed, you communicate that her pulling away doesn't shake you, and that you have faith in who you are and what you bring to the table. Additionally, over-apologizing shifts the power dynamic in the relationship. When you apologize too much, you put her in a position of control, allowing her to dictate the emotional landscape. Suddenly, the relationship becomes about you trying to make up for something she hasn't even explicitly asked for. This imbalance creates a toxic dynamic where she starts to expect you to make concessions and feel guilty for things beyond your control. Remember, apologies should only be given when they are deserved, and in this case, her pulling away is not your fault. The Stoics would remind you that you are responsible only for your own actions, not how she interprets them or reacts to them. By not apologizing for her pulling away, you maintain your self-respect and dignity, which in turn makes you more attractive in her eyes. In conclusion, don't apologize for things you didn't do. Don't take on the emotional burden of her pulling away. Instead, stand firm in your actions, knowing that you haven't done anything wrong. This kind of calm, composed, and self-assured approach is far more appealing to a woman than groveling for her attention. The Stoics believed in strength through restraint, and this is exactly what you need to practice here. Chapter 5. Don't question your self-worth. It's not about you, it's about her. When a woman pulls away, one of the most common and destructive mistakes men make is to start questioning their own self-worth. You might ask yourself, what did I do wrong? Why am I not good enough? What's wrong with me? But here's the truth that most men miss, it's not about you. More often than not, when a woman pulls away, it has very little to do with who you are and everything to do with what's going on in her mind. It's human nature to internalize rejection and interpret it as a reflection of our own shortcomings. But the Stoics teach us to understand that external events, like someone pulling away, should not dictate our internal sense of self-worth. Your value does not come from her attention or affection. You are valuable and worthy, regardless of how she behaves. The Stoics emphasized that we cannot control the actions of others, only how we respond to them, and this is where your focus should lie. When a woman pulls away, it's often due to her own internal struggles, doubts, or confusion. She may be dealing with emotional baggage, insecurities, or uncertainties about what she wants in life or in a relationship. None of these factors reflect poorly on you. By questioning your self-worth, you're allowing her emotional state to have power over how you view yourself, and that is a mistake. Your self-worth should be rooted in who you are, not in how others perceive you. The Stoics believe that a person's true strength comes from within, not from the validation or approval of others. When you question your self-worth because she's pulling away, you're essentially handing over control of your emotions to her. You're allowing her actions to dictate how you feel about yourself, and that is not the mindset of a confident, self-assured man. Here's where many men falter. They tie their sense of self-worth to how women react to them. When a woman is showing interest, they feel great about themselves. But the moment she starts pulling away, they begin to doubt their value. This is a dangerous mindset to have because it makes you emotionally dependent on her attention and affection for your happiness. And emotional dependency is one of the biggest turn-offs for women. Women are attracted to men who know their own value, men who don't crumble when things get tough. When you maintain your sense of self-worth, even when she's pulling away, you show her that you're not emotionally swayed by her actions. You demonstrate that you have the confidence and emotional stability to handle whatever comes your way. This is far more attractive than a man who spirals into self-doubt and insecurity at the first sign of trouble. The Stoics would advise you to focus on what you can control, your own thoughts, actions, and emotions. If she's pulling away, that's her choice and her issue to deal with. Your job is to remain grounded in who you are, to remember that your value does not come from her approval. By doing this, you're not only protecting your own emotional well-being, but you're also showing her that you're the kind of man who doesn't lose sight of his worth just because the relationship is going through a rough patch. When you stop questioning your self-worth, you also stop giving her power over your emotions. You become emotionally self-sufficient, which is an incredibly attractive quality. Women don't want to be with someone who needs constant validation. They want someone who is sure of himself, regardless of what happens in the relationship. In conclusion, when she pulls away, it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of her own internal struggles. Your value remains the same, whether she's fully invested or pulling back. By not questioning your self-worth, you're showing her that you're a man who knows what he brings to the table, and that's far more appealing than someone who falls apart at the first sign of trouble. The Stoics would remind you that true strength comes from within, and that includes the strength to know your own value, even when others don't see it. Stay grounded in who you are, and you'll not only maintain your self-respect, but you'll also become the kind of man she realizes she can't afford to lose. Chapter 6. Don't try to fill the silence. Let her feel the distance. When a woman pulls away, many men feel the urge to fill the gap with constant communication, thinking that staying in touch will keep the connection alive. They bombard her with texts, calls, or messages to check in, trying to bridge the emotional distance she's created. This need to fill the silence, however, is another mistake that drives her further away. The truth is, silence can be one of your greatest tools if used wisely. The Stoics believed in the power of silence. They taught that sometimes the best action is inaction, that not every situation requires you to intervene. This principle applies perfectly to relationships. When she pulls away, filling the silence only shows her that you're uncomfortable with the distance, and it signals that you're afraid of losing her. But when you embrace the silence and let her feel the distance, you're showing her that you're not dependent on constant communication to maintain your confidence. Here's why this works. When a woman pulls away, she's often testing the waters, either consciously or subconsciously. She's seeing how much space she can create before you react. If you immediately jump to fill that space, It shows her that you're overly invested and uncomfortable with the uncertainty. But if you allow the distance to exist, if you give her room without chasing, she's forced to sit with her own thoughts and feelings. This is where the real power of silence comes in. The more you refrain from filling the gap, the more she'll begin to feel the weight of that silence. She'll start to wonder why you're not reacting, why you're not reaching out like other guys would. And that curiosity can quickly turn into longing. By not rushing to fill the void, you're giving her time to reflect on the connection, and that reflection can make her miss you far more than any text or call ever could. But it's important to note that silence doesn't mean you disappear completely. It's about balance. You're not ignoring her forever, but you're also not chasing her every time she pulls away. You're giving her space, but you're still present in your own life, showing that you're not dependent on her for your happiness or sense of self-worth. The Stoics believed that patience is a virtue, and that applies here as well. You need to be patient and trust the process. Don't panic just because there's a gap in communication. Let her feel the space, let her sit with her own thoughts, and in time, she'll begin to miss the connection you had. Silence can be uncomfortable for both parties, but it's in that discomfort that true emotions are revealed. By holding back, by not trying to fill the silence with words or actions, you're allowing her to come to her own conclusions. And if the connection was real, if there was something meaningful between you, she will come back on her own. And when she does, she'll come back with a stronger appreciation for what you had. She'll realize that you're not like the other men who are afraid of silence or emotional distance, and that makes you stand out. In relationships, it's often the moments of silence that speak the loudest. The Stoics knew that sometimes the most powerful move is to do nothing at all. Don't be afraid of the quiet, embrace it. Let her feel the distance, and in time, she'll realize what she's missing. Chapter 7. Don't lose your identity, stay true to yourself. One of the biggest mistakes men make when a woman pulls away is that they lose themselves in the process. They become so focused on trying to win her back or understand what went wrong that they forget about their own identity. They change their behavior, their interests, even their personality in an attempt to be what they think she wants. But this is a recipe for disaster. The Stoics were adamant about staying true to one's own nature. They believed that a person's character and values should never be compromised, regardless of external circumstances. When a woman pulls away, it's easy to start questioning yourself, to wonder if you need to change in order to get her back. But the moment you start changing who you are to please someone else, you lose your authenticity, and once that's gone, attraction often follows. Women are drawn to men who have a strong sense of self. They don't want someone who's willing to mold themselves to fit their every whim. In fact, the moment a man starts altering his behavior to keep a woman interested, he loses the very qualities that made him attractive in the first place. Women want a man who is secure in who he is, someone who doesn't lose sight of his identity just because the relationship hits a rough patch. This is where most men go wrong. When a woman pulls away, instead of staying grounded in their own identity, they start acting differently. Maybe they become more passive, more agreeable, or they suddenly start adopting her hobbies and interests to re-engage her. But this only makes things worse. Women can sense when a man is not being genuine, and nothing kills attraction faster than a lack of authenticity. The Stoics taught the importance of self-reliance, the idea that your happiness and sense of self-worth should come from within, not from external validation. When you lose yourself in an attempt to win her back, you're essentially handing over control of your identity to her. You're telling her, I'm willing to change who I am just to keep you around. And that's not attractive. In fact, it's a huge turn-off. Instead of losing yourself in the process, stay true to who you are. Keep doing the things you love, maintain your own friendships, and continue pursuing your goals. Show her that your life doesn't revolve around her, and that you're not going to change who you are just because she's pulling away. This doesn't mean you should be rigid or unwilling to compromise in a relationship, but it does mean that you shouldn't abandon your core values or personality in a bid to keep her around. The moment you start living for her, instead of for yourself, you lose your power. And once you lose that power, the dynamic of the relationship shifts in a way that is hard to recover from. But when you stay true to yourself, when you continue to be the man she was originally attracted to, you give her a reason to come back. She'll see that you're not easily swayed by emotional ups and downs, and that strength of character will draw her back in. The Stoics understood that life is full of challenges, especially in relationships. But they also knew that the key to overcoming those challenges is to remain true to oneself. When you hold on to your identity, even in the face of uncertainty, you're showing her that you're a man of substance, a man who doesn't crumble under pressure or change himself just to win someone's approval. In the end, the most attractive thing you can do when she pulls away is to remain unwavering in your sense of self. Stay true to who you are, maintain your confidence, and let her see that you're not going to lose yourself just because things are tough. That strength will make her realize what she's missing, and when she comes back, she'll be coming back to the man she was originally drawn to, the man who never lost sight of his own value. When a woman pulls away, the natural reaction is often to panic, chase, or try to fix the situation. But as the Stoics taught us, true strength comes from restraint, emotional control, and staying true to oneself. By avoiding these common mistakes, simping, confessing in desperation, losing your temper, apologizing unnecessarily, questioning your self-worth, filling the silence, and losing your identity, you're not only protecting yourself, but also increasing your attractiveness. Remember, relationships are a balance of power, and the moment you lose control of your emotions, you lose that balance. By staying calm, confident, and centered, you show her that you're a man who doesn't fall apart when things get tough, a man who's worth coming back to. Now, if you've made any of these mistakes before, don't worry, it's never too late to turn things around. Embrace the Stoic mindset, and you'll find that not only will your relationships improve, but so will your overall sense of self-worth and emotional resilience. So, avoid these 7 mistakes, and you'll be amazed at how quickly the dynamic shifts in your favor.